boy, sure is wet. Sure is wet. That is about as wet as it gets. And that's what she said. Oh, and we're live. How you going? Welcome again to Turn15 channel for this Belgian Grand Prix watch along. How you doing? Hope you're having a fine Sunday afternoon or evening, wherever you might be, or morning, who knows. Perhaps you're even watching on Mars. There's Esteban Ocon getting into his gloves. There is 10 minutes and 16 seconds to the start of the Grand Prix, and it looks fucking miserable there. Absolutely miserable. It reminds me a lot of race day at Albert Park. Just chucking it down. Absolutely chucking it down. Cars are actually in pretty... The track was pretty dry when the cars started going to the grid, but it's like as soon as the pit lane opened, my god, just the heavens opened, and then it's they're going to be swimming to the grid at the end of the formation lap, I get the feel, and it's just absolutely drenched. So the rain is settling in. I mean, it's that part of the world, isn't it? It seems like a miserable day to go racing, but it's a great day for us because this could be an absolute classic of a race. Spa 1998, drenched, classic race. Spa 2000, rain off, rain on, rain off, rain on. Again, classic race. Spa 2005, again, spitting down a little bit. Great race, great race. A lot can happen here. This is one of the best tracks in the world. One of the absolute prime tracks in the world. Some would say the very best that Formula One visits. Hard to disagree, to be honest. They visit a few tracks that are really, really, really top-notch, really elite world level, and this is absolutely one of them. An absolute classic for a reason. Should be a great race. Should be a fantastic race. Now, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, that's your first two on the grid. That's your front row. Pretty good lap out of Norris yesterday. Actually, a pretty good lap. Managed to hold on to it with his first run in Q1. With his first run in Q3 rather. Just nobody could quite beat that. So it should be very interesting actually. Both of those McLarens. There's a long run. There's a long run down the Camel Straight, which is basically once you come out of turn one, your foot to the floor. Mostly, we'll see how it goes in the rain, but generally you'd be foot to the floor for about another 20-30 seconds until you reach the end of the Camel Straight. So there's a lot of chance for a lot of these cars to catch Lando Norris. All they got to do is just stick right to the back of him. They could follow him real close through La Source, and anything could happen. Leclerc starting third, Verstappen fourth, Albon amazingly is fifth. That's a great effort out of Alex Albon. George Russell sixth, Tsunoda in seventh. So the new floor is on that Red Bull finally for Yuki. So he's already getting a bit of a result out of it. We'll see. Didn't have it in the sprint yesterday, but he's got it now. So we'll see what he can do today. We'll see what he can do. Hadjar in eighth, Lawson in ninth, and Bortoleto, fantastic effort in qualifying yesterday. 10th on the grid. Ocon 11th, Behrman 12th, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Colapinto, and Stroll. Those are your top 16. Then we've got Sainz, Hamilton, Antonelli, and Alonso, who will be starting from the pit lane. And very, very interesting, actually. 4 cars starting from the pit lane. You don't generally see that many. It's probably safer starting from the pit lane today than it is to try to risk anything mid-grid. Midfield going into turn one, because with that much rain it could be very, very hairy in there. It's a very tight corner at the best of times, and it tends to attract a lot of trouble over the years. A lot of argy-bargy there, and you really don't want that, especially with a whole race ahead of you, and especially with a very, very, very high speed section and a very big stop at the end of it coming at you. Now we'll see if the race even starts on time. It should be getting underway in about 6 or so minutes. We'll see. Either way, it should be a cracker of a race. Should be absolutely fantastic. There's been tons of classics here in the past. The sprint yesterday, I think, was interesting. It wasn't an out-and-out classic. It wasn't like a pass fest like we've seen in Interlagos and whatnot in the past. But it was tactical. It was a very tactical sprint, and it was a tactical masterclass by Max Verstappen and by Red Bull, both playing their parts absolutely perfectly, getting the sprint win. So well done, Max. We'll see what he can do from 4th position today. And I tell you what, looking at the grid right now and looking at the weather, this is almost anybody's game. And it's very, very rare that you actually get that in Formula One. It could be anybody's game today. It's absolutely treacherous conditions. Anything could happen. Anything can happen. Which is why, unless you're sitting out in it, which I can promise you is a miserable experience, it's fantastic when we get a wet race like this. Rain is the great leveler, as they've said over the years, and it looks like a bloody lot of rain. It looks like it's going to be very, very level here. In fact, it looks like, to me, it could well be a safety car start. So we'll see. The best thing that could happen, hopefully, is that the race just starts on time and we get through it. We can get through it as quickly as we can, as rather, you're not following a safety car for 44 laps, because that would take an age and it would just be the worst thing that ever happened. It'd be good. It'd be good to get through this race on time and without red flags, and everybody to be safe and to be able to come out afterwards. This track, as well as being high speed and a classic, it's very, very dangerous, especially at the top of the hill. The Eau Rouge Redillon complex, the straight after that, it's very narrow and very high speed. And a couple of years ago, we lost Dylan Van Hoff there, and of course Antoine Hubert a few years before that with a high speed crash. It's this track takes absolutely no prisoners, so always gets a little bit nervy actually when we go when F1 goes to a track like this. It's very it's old school, I'll put it that way. It's old school. Even with all the safety modifications that made over the years, it's still quite an old school track, and well, hopefully it'll be a fun race to watch either way. Big news, which I talked about a little bit yesterday, but I'll revisit it today. Christian Horner out. So Laurent Mekies in as boss of Red Bull. I didn't see that coming when it happened. Could kind of see it coming over the last 18 months or so. I remember Jos Verstappen saying that Red Bull was in danger of imploding if Horner stayed the team boss there, and was very keen to see Christian gone. There's been quite an exodus of talent out of that team. Jonathan Wheatley, Adrian Newey, probably the biggest two names from there, but also just a bunch of Rob Marshall as well, aerodynamicist Rob Marshall. So there's been, that's just three off the top of my head, there's been a whole bunch of exits from Red Bull, which is probably why they're not quite as competitive as they want to be. That said, they still won the race yesterday, but it's just that is a team that is on the cusp of a free fall, let's say. The Newey effect is wearing off. Other teams have caught up. McLaren has passed them. You could almost argue that Ferrari are passing them, because Charles Leclerc has been quite quick there, and Ferrari itself was quite quick at Silverstone. I mean, Charles Leclerc had an absolute nightmare at Silverstone, but Hamilton did pretty well himself. So we'll see what happens with Red Bull today. Who knows? Maybe Laurent Mekies can make it 2 from 2. That'd be a very interesting story. Just going through the grid here on the Sky broadcast, as always, should be kicking off in a couple of minutes. So Christian Horner going, I think we'll see how this works out for them. We'll see how it works out for Red Bull, because it's about as big a change as that team, is the biggest management change that team's ever gone through, but it's about as big a change as a team can go through when the guy at the top gets the axe, especially somebody like Christian Horner, who's been there for more than 20 years. It is now yesterday's news. Going to be interesting to see where he ends up. We heard talks a few weeks ago that Ferrari were maybe tapping him up to replace potentially Fred Vasseur. There we go, race control formation lap will be started behind the safety car, so I get the feeling we'll be doing a few formation laps here before they try to get the race underway. I get the feeling it's wet enough they might opt for a rolling start, which, as long as the race starts, fantastic. I'm still getting over the trauma of 2021, and waiting around for hours and hours and hours for a race that didn't happen is not a great way to spend a Sunday evening, to say the least. Now, looks like everybody will be starting the race on inters. So maybe it's okay. Generally, if they get the feeling that the race will be red flagged, or if they get the feeling that there's just too much water and the safety car will be extended, then I would have thought that maybe we'd see some wet tyres. But intermediates tells me that the race will probably end up going ahead, as scheduled. The whole grandstand clapping, God, they look sodden already. And that is a lot of rain, isn't it? That really, really is a lot of rain. Oh, good. It's I tell you, you are brave to be sitting in a Formula One car and doing what they do at the best of times, but in absolute pissing down rain like that, it's so demanding. So demanding of these people as sportsmen, as athletes, as human beings. It is so demanding. Sitting essentially in a little bathtub at 315, 320 k's an hour at the end of the straight, just surrounded by other cars, with no margin for error. And here we go, the safety car has taken off in the formation lap. Looks like it is getting underway. Yep, okay, Lando took his sweet time getting off the grid, but here we go. So the race is finally starting. Like I said, everybody will be on inters. Now, the pit lane starters will come out of the pit lane to join the formation lap. If they do a rolling start, and I'm not sure that they will, but if they do a rolling start, I'm not sure how the pit lane start works like that. If they would have to go through the pit lane while everybody else starts, or it's a rule you don't really see that often. Not sure what would be the go here. Just look at the rooster tails coming off these cars as they go up the hill. And that's under safety car conditions. You know, that's a formation lap right there, and you can see all the spray already. Looks like the pit lane's not... There we go, the pit lane's just opened. And you can see from this angle here, looking down the Camel Straight, the sheer amount of spray. I get a bad feeling this is going to get red flagged, like almost immediately. The problem is not so much that the rain's coming down. The problem is that all the water that is standing on the track is going to be thrown into their faces, right into their visors. And when they're going that quickly, it can be very, very dangerous. When you have absolutely zero visibility and you've got the whole pack all contained right with each other, it's incredibly dangerous. Oh, look at that. You know, I've been saying that this place looks packed out. 389,000 people over the weekend. That is just insane. Starting procedure suspended. Yep, so there we go. I had a bad feeling as soon as I saw those cars going down the Camel Straight. So, red flag it is. Alright, well, let's see how long this starts. Trophy looks like sausage links. It does, doesn't it? I'm not sure about this. What have we got? Not ideal for the time being, says Lando. Can't see a lot behind the safety car. Yeah. You cannot see. You cannot see through the spray. It's the biggest danger with these cars. It's not even just the standing water or anything like that. It is just, you cannot see a thing. If you've ever driven up behind like a semi-trailer or something in a storm on the freeway or on the highway or something and just experienced your windshield get completely covered, I mean, that's a very light it's a very light idea of what they're going through now. Just a whole bunch of shots of people in the pits. So that's it. That was the Belgian Grand Prix. Hope you all had fun. So I get the feeling this could end up like Suzuka in 2022, where we had maybe a wait and then the race finally got underway. And when it did get underway, it was fantastic. So we'll see. Now, there was a time when F1 probably would have gone racing in conditions like this. Remember Spa 98? But you also remember the start of Spa 98, which is why they're so hesitant to start a race like this in these sorts of conditions. It could be fun, but it could also be an absolute disaster. So we'll see how it all goes, how it all unfolds. Yeah, just a replay there, and look at that. You can barely see even the spray behind the safety car, let alone what the F1 cars are chucking up. Now, Like I was saying, it's the spray. It's all the spray, and there's nothing you can really do about that. Not in an open wheel car, not in a Formula One car, especially not in this generation of a Formula One car. They generate so much downforce through the floor and so much downforce at the back with the diffuser, and how it works is it essentially just sucks the car to the ground to let it turn as quick as it can. And by doing that, it is throwing dirty air out from under the car and just generating it as quickly as it can behind the car, which is fine when it's just air, but when it's water, it just turns into like a high pressure hose, right in the face of anyone who's behind you. And when there's 19 people behind the leader, and when there's 19 drivers behind the leader, and they're all very, very close together, it could spell disaster for them at sacrifice. But yes, the trophy does look like sausage links, and honestly, I've seen some bad trophies over the years, and that, to be honest, that's right up there. I don't know if it's as cringe as the Lego trophy. I don't know if it's as bad as the Gorilla trophy that they used to have in Paul Ricard. But it's not great. It's not great. Like, Hungary, Silverstone, those are some actual trophies. I'd like to see, like, the Borg Warner trophy in the Indy 500, but for, it's supposed to be like a classic race. The Belgian Grand Prix is, especially this track. It's supposed to be a classic race, one of the tracks that they want to keep on forever. Of course, we're not going to get it forever. It's already going to start, I think in 27 or 28, it's going to start entering a trade-off with another track through the years. So we'll get it every second year, starting soon. But it's not really a classic trophy that they've come up for it. It looks like shit, to be honest. Oh well, anyway, so while we're in the red flag, let's have a little looky at what else has gone on now. We were talking about Christian Horner potentially going to Ferrari. We'll see. That all depends on what's happening at Ferrari. Now, Fred Vasseur, there was reports in the Italian media who are very well connected with Ferrari and insiders with Ferrari, and they were suggesting a few weeks ago that Fred Vasseur's head is basically already on the chopping block. That's where you heard rumours of Christian Horner maybe getting tapped up. It's a tractor going backwards down Radillon. Why not? Alright, just a little bit of action then. Just a little... You never quite know what you're going to see in a red flag. They just sort of cut to like all these different shots that you weren't quite expecting. I wasn't really expecting to see a tractor racing down Eau Rouge backwards. Anyway, Fred Vasseur looks now like he might actually be pretty safe at Ferrari. I think he's not been in the job that long. When did he come in? 2023, I think? I think it was 2023. I can't remember. But he's not really been there all that long. I don't know if it's too early to really start throwing that sort of stuff around. Like I was saying before, the manager, like when you replace the manager, when you replace the team boss at these teams, it is massive. It's massive for a culture change, and it's massive for the plans for the future and all that sort of stuff. And potentially the driver lineup, the car philosophy, all sorts of things like that. Now, what is this a replay of? Just nothing. It's a replay of nothing. How about that? Now, Fred Vasseur might actually end up being safe, which means, well, that means Christian Horner's probably not going to end up at Ferrari. Now, he is a big name. He's a big name, and he's been very, very successful where he is. Now, is that entirely because of him, or is that more to do with the people that he assembled around him who he's since lost? Like Jonathan Wheatley's gone. Adrian Newey's gone. Those are two very, very important pillars of what made Red Bull Racing work. And you got to wonder, just without those guys, how much juice he's really got left. It could end up that Christian Horner ends up at the FIA in some sort of role there. He could end up at Sky F1 or something like that as a pundit. He could just retire flat and just go do something else, maybe invest in something instead. Become more of an entrepreneur, a little bit like Nico Rosberg's done. Excuse me. Come in. Come on. I think somebody's bored in the background there. I know the race is going to start soon. Don't worry, mate. So, it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. I didn't see him getting the sack when he did, so it's kind of hard to figure out where he's going to go next. But I mean, it also sort of depends on who's looking for a new team boss. Now, Aston Martin, I don't think, are going to be looking for a new team boss. I get the feeling he's pretty safe from ending up at Racing Bulls. McLaren, no. Ferrari, looks like no. Mercedes, absolutely not. Already the options are getting quite low. Williams, no. Alpine. Alpine's an interesting one. They have a team boss. Well, they had a team boss in Oliver Oakes, and then he left the team. Now they've got a new team boss in Steve Nichols, but I'm not sure he's actually started that role yet. I think he might be starting that role in September. Now, is he going to get replaced? Are they going to do like they did with Jack Doohan, with the team boss? It's Flavio Briatore's call, so anything could happen, really. I mean, Alpine are desperate for anything, really, to ride that. Expecting heavy rain in 9 minutes. That's Radio 2, Albon. This could be, honestly, this could be quite a painful day. Wait, what are you doing? Speaking of, what? Come on, buddy. What do you want? Come on. I know. Don't worry. You love a good whinge, don't you, huh? You love a good whinge. Oh. Okay. What do you think? Who's going to win? Who's going to win? You have no idea, do you? That's okay, nobody does. That's why it's going to be so fun today, assuming the race actually gets underway. Now, Alpine and Horner might actually make sense, but can Horner and Briatore work together? Not so sure about that. Honestly, outside of that, Audi, Sauber/Audi, nah, not going to happen. Haas, nah, not going to happen. I mean, just looking down the list of teams, I think Alpine's really the only place that Christian Horner could end up. But again, like, I'm not sure what he's supposed to do with that team. They're just a hot mess right now. Like, they really are. They're very volatile in terms of their staff, in terms of the potential of the team, the car. Gasly's doing very well, starting 13th today, but he did a great job in the sprint, well, in sprint qualifying, until the car didn't start for the sprint. So it just kind of exemplifies everything about that team, really. There's some potential there. And the Enstone team over the years has been, it's been great. It's been world champion a couple of times, and it's they have a tendency to punch above their weight, a bit like Jordan used to do, a bit like Force India, say, used to do. They could punch above their weight every now and then, but it's very it's asking a lot of them nowadays. I mean, it's never easy to do it, but in the modern F1 world, where you've got such professionalism, so much investment from other teams and things like that, it's very, very, very difficult to basically underdog your way anywhere anymore. I mean, it took McLaren years and years and years, and that is a professional organisation. It took them years to get back to fighting for championships and fighting for wins when they were out in the weeds. And they were the ones who came and did it. Renault didn't do it with Alpine. Sauber has never done it. Looks like Aston Martin are back to struggling as well. So, I can't help but feel that maybe we could have got a racing lap or two in had the safety car stayed out. There's one other thing that's true now. There's a lot of spray, and that's fine. I can understand why you wouldn't want to throw the green flag and go racing under all of that. At some point, you're going to have to go racing. Probably better not to do it when there's not, 10 litres of water per square foot of track. But nothing can clean a Formula 1 track of water like a Formula 1 car, especially not like 20 Formula 1 cars, all throwing water in the air, all throwing it off the racing line. If you circulate the cars around the track behind the safety car, it's probably the best way of getting rid of the standing water and then therefore getting rid of the spray. And you can get rid of it in a safe, controlled, well, relatively safe. I mean, they're still going quick even behind the safety car, but you can get rid of it in a relatively safe, controlled manner. Which means that we can go racing quicker. Probably the worst thing you can do is just park everybody and just let that water just sit there and just go nowhere, because it's not like it's going to evaporate anywhere. I mean, it may be summer, but it's the Ardennes, you know. It's Belgium. It's still cold. I mean, it doesn't look like the crowd are too disappointed yet, but let's see what this race has in store. Again, I get a bad feeling. I get a bad feeling about 2021. Let's hope that doesn't happen again. We'll try to stay optimistic. Anyway, Fred Vasseur might end up staying at Ferrari. At least Ralf Schumacher has said that. Now, I'm not sure if I trust Ralf Schumacher as a source for Ferrari. The Schumacher family was very close to Ferrari. That's fine at one point, but that was also 20 years ago. I'm not sure that I trust it more than... I mean, the Italian media is that can be very volatile as well. They could just be making shit completely up. But the fact that it was two different news outlets running the exact same story the exact same time tells me that an insider in that team is trying to get the word out. Which makes me think that maybe Vasseur might be on the chopping block. Now, if I were Ferrari, I'd keep him. I would keep him at least for another year or so. I'd see how the new rules package goes for them. Now, this car has been shit. It's not been good enough. It's not been nearly close to good enough. I mean, Ferrari at the end of last season, I was thinking, here we go. They are back. They're right knocking on the door of where they need to be. Now, there is the radar. That looks like a lot of rain. And then it looks like... it looks a little bit patchy what's going to be coming over the track. I mean, it looks like there's a decent chunk of rain, but then it looks like it's a bit of a gap after that. So maybe it'll be okay. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, Ferrari. I started having a bad feeling about Ferrari this year when I saw the car that they launched, how they'd redone the suspension work. And when you're that close to getting the car concept just right, and maybe not exactly right, I'd say Red Bull are really the only ones who got it exactly right, except at least for the first couple of years. Actually, I'd say McLaren have got it exactly right now because their car is an absolute rocket. But when you're very, very close, and Ferrari were very close to the performance of Red Bull, to the performance of McLaren last year, they were catching right up. They won in Mexico, they won at Kota, they had a lot of momentum, they were doing great, and then it looks like they've just kind of shot themselves in the foot by fundamentally changing how that car works for this season, even though there's one season left to go of this rules package. And what they could have done, what I argue they could have done and probably should have done, and there's the man in the hot seat himself, Mr. Fred Vasseur. For now, we'll see. I'd argue what they should have done is stick with what they know and refine it. And maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. At the end of the day, you're not wasting resources and time and energy when you're trying to build a whole new car for 2026. You're not also trying to unfuck and resolve the 2025 car. I mean, most of these cars are big carryovers from 2024, especially cars like Williams and things like that. It made sense to me that they would just keep what they knew and work with that, try to refine it, try to make it a little bit better. Now, maybe they thought that they could get more out of a new concept. Well, they thought fucking wrong, because all they're getting is grief out of this concept, it seems. Still without a win this year. Still no wins for Ferrari. And I'm not counting Lewis Hamilton's sprint win because it's a sprint, you know. That's not quite a Grand Prix, isn't it? Not only that, they got disqualified from the Chinese Grand Prix right afterwards when they had to go a whole race distance, which says to me that that car was fundamentally fucked from the beginning. They probably got away with it at Albert Park because it was a wet race, so you would typically run the cars at a higher ride height to stop them from aquaplaning. So yeah, TLDR, disappointing out of Ferrari, very disappointing. Expected way more from them. I hope Leclerc is very comfortable with the money that he's taking from them, because I don't think he's going to get much else out of them, and I'm not sure there's a lot of room for him to go anywhere else right now. Max Verstappen is the one in demand. Max Verstappen is who Mercedes want. Now what is this? Just some sort of a replay of on board a McLaren. Alright then. Well, I mean, here we are, still stuck in a holding pattern, and it's 20 past the hour. Could have been right in the middle of a juicy part of this race by now. Look at Alonso with his mustache. Be interesting to see what happens with him next year as well. Max is kind of the cork in the bottle, and it looks like the cork is staying in this year after all. I mean, Max is contracted to Red Bull through 2028, but because of release clauses and things like that, there's a lot of speculation about his seat. He could end up in Alonso's seat. He really could. He probably won't for next year. From what I've heard, there's no release clause if he is at least third in the championship at half distance. Half distance with Silverstone, Max is third in the championship, so he's locked in. The only way you get him out of Red Bull is to buy him out of that contract, and I don't know how much money you could throw at Red Bull before they would be willing to accept letting Max Verstappen go. He is right now the beating heart and soul of that team. I mean, if you took Max Verstappen out of that team, I really, really wonder what you'd be getting out of it. I mean, Yuki Tsunoda has scored, I think, 7 points for Red Bull this year, which is just abysmal. And Yuki's not a bad driver, and it's not even like he was having a bad season. He qualified 5th in Australia. He did well in the first 2 races, just unlucky with strategy, but he did well in the first 2 races. We know what he can do, and he had a strong year last year as well. That Red Bull, it's just, it doesn't like people. Liam Lawson, another one the Red Bull didn't gel with. God, can you imagine Lawson and Tsunoda with the performance that they've done this season, having to be the Red Bull drivers? I mean, it's probably half the reason Horner got the axe when he did. I think, from what I've heard, the ownership situation, there was something like there was a 2% share in the team, which would flip it from one side to another of the ownership scale, because Red Bull, ever since Mr. Mateschitz was put into the ground a few years ago, Red Bull was split between the Austrian side and the the Austrian side and the Thailand side of the operation. And it looks like it went from one to another, and the one that got it doesn't want to keep Horner around, so off he goes. That said, it's not completely out of the blue. Like I said before, Red Bull were in danger, and I would argue have already started self-destructing. I was even saying, I think last season, I could see Red Bull self-destructing very quickly if they didn't get a handle on the situation. When you start seeing names like Adrian Newey and Jonathan Wheatley and whatnot fleeing the coupe, you've really got to start getting worried. Now, is it too late to stem the damage? Because they've got a whole new car coming next year, and they've got a whole new engine coming next year, which ironically was spearheaded by Christian Horner. It's a bit of a mess, that team, to be honest. It's a bit of a mess, and look at the rain back in earnest. So, alright. Well, I mean, Lord knows what we're going to get out of this race now. Look at that dude in the grandstand, just sitting there with a fucking beer glass out in the rain. Like, he doesn't even give a shit. Like, 4 parts Pilsner, 1 part rain. Yeah, I know, right? You wouldn't drink that, would you? I mean, that is either a guy who is already flat drunk or who doesn't give a shit. Not even trying to shield it, not even like holding it close or anything, just bam, straight out in the rain. Top this up, God. I don't know what fucking tunes they're playing in that grandstand, but those people are vibing like crazy. Like, they are feeling it. I suppose there's not much else to do right now. I mean, here we are watching. That's Colapinto, Mo. It's Colapinto, that's not Gasly. They've fucked that graphic up. We'll see how long those vibes last. Yeah, there's Pierre Gasly sitting down. In a Antoine Hubert hat. Yeah, of course, those two are very close, and it's quite devastating for Pierre Gasly, rocking up at Spa, not only being demoted down to Toro Rosso from Red Bull. Not only is his season unraveling, but then his one of his best buddies was also killed in action. I mean, I tell you, that would make a man, a weekend like that. So Fred Vasseur is out of the garage, back in the pit wall. This doesn't really say anything yet, but I think he's quite anxious to get it going. I think all the crowd is a bit anxious to get it going. I'm very anxious to get it going. This little guy here is very anxious to get it going. I made me cat when I point that down there. Alright, you sicko. Don't even think about that. Now, any other news we could go through? There's a couple of things, actually. There's a couple of things. Alex Dunn, F2 driver. McLaren Jr. Looks like he's going to be, if things go the way they are, he will probably be the F2 champion for this year. Had a very impressive season. Had a couple of fuck ups. A very big one in Monaco, I thought. But overall, showed very good speed, and he did a Friday practice. Was that at Silverstone? He did a Friday practice a little while ago, a few weeks ago, and he showed very well there as well. He's hot property, you'd say. Like when last year Ollie Behrman was suddenly thrown in to the Ferrari at Saudi Arabia and did fantastically, and suddenly, bam, that's hot property right there. And almost the junior career doesn't even matter. Right there, that's the guy. That's who Ferrari want. That's their shapoopy for the rest of the year. Which is just as well for Ollie Behrman, because his F2 campaign last year was fucking dog shit. It was not good. It was really, really bad, actually. But it didn't matter. He was a shoe-in as soon as he drove for Ferrari, and did very, very well in his debut race. Had a couple more races that year as well, didn't he, for Haas? Did well on him too. Did very well. Charles Leclerc, pre-race ritual, football, stretching, and an ice bath. I'm assuming one after another, not all at once. Never have I ever parked my car correctly. Oh, Charles, fuck me dead, mate. Oh, that's just... That's some shameful shit. That's Alan Permain, that's a new boss of Racing Bulls. On screen right now. He's been kind of all up and down the paddock over the years. Big job for Alan Permain, actually, this one. A very big job. Because depending on what Laurent Mekies does at Red Bull, he could be next in line to take over if it all goes tits up. If it goes well, he's still running a Formula 1 team, so... A very interesting hire, but should be a very safe pair of hands for that team. Should be good for him. Then what was I talking about? Yes, Alex Dunn, probably going to be the F2 champion. Now, unfortunately for Alex, he's going to be an F2 champion at the wrong time, because looking up and down the grid, who is he going to replace? He's a McLaren young driver. Now, McLaren had a young driver win an F2 championship last year. A different one. That was Gabriel Bortoleto, who they had to sever ties with, essentially, let him go to Audi to keep his career alive, which I think he absolutely earned. He did brilliantly in F2 last year. He's doing fantastically well in F1 this year. 10th on the grid for Sauber. He scored points already as well. He's done a great job. He's done a really, really, really good job in that car. I think he's out-qualified Hulkenberg over the course of the year as well, so far. So, absolutely fantastic out of Gabriel Bortoleto. Really, really promising young talent, and it looks like McLaren have the same issue on their hands. Now, Norris and Piastri are going to stay. No matter what happens this year, they're going to stay at McLaren for next season. Unless something spectacular goes wrong. Unless something catastrophically bad happens. And I'm not talking, injury or anything like that. I mean, Norris and Piastri would have to have an almighty falling out where it just becomes completely untenable for them to stay in the same team. That's the only way either of them, or one or both of them, aren't going to come back. So, where does this leave Alex Dunn? Well, there's no room at Ferrari, and they would want Behrman anyway. Outside chance, maybe Red Bull need a little bit of shuffling around, but it looks like Verstappen's going to stay. Tsunoda, we will see. Hadjar looks more likely to get promoted than anybody else. And they've also got Arvid Lindblad waiting in the wings to come into F1. Liam Lawson will be an interesting one to see where he goes, if he stays at all. I would assume that he stays for next year. In the, what are they called now? Racing Bulls. I was going to call them AlphaTauri. In the Minardi, sorry. He will probably stay there. Now, Colapinto, I mean, look at these guys getting their Colapinto chanting in, I guess, while they can, because I don't really like, and we'll see what he can do today. I don't like Franco Colapinto's chances of seeing out the season. Not the way that it's gone so far. Not with Flavio Briatore in charge of Alpine. I've heard it could be... I heard that it could be Bottas sliding into that seat as a replacement, but if he is going to Cadillac, and it looks like that's going to happen, if Valtteri Bottas goes to Cadillac, then he's very unlikely to end up at Alpine at any point this year, which means it's good news for Colapinto. Now, could Paul Aaron slide into that seat? Who knows? What Colapinto does have at his side is a whole lot of money, a whole lot of pesos coming from South America, so... These pesos in South America, whatever the fuck they use. He's got a whole lot of, not just Argentinian, but a whole lot of South American dollars coming into that team. So he's got to rediscover the magic. Franco Colapinto, though, that's probably the biggest thing. He started his career great in F1. Monza was great. Baku was absolutely superb out of Franco, but the hype, I think, has long since started him. Now he's just sort of trashing cars left and right. Had a few big hits at the end of last year. Destroyed the car at Imola this year, which wasn't great. Yes, hello. You're right there, mate. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now, out of all of this, all of these guys that I've named, where the fuck does Alex Dunn sit? Dude in the black jacket just looks so fucking emo. I swear I've seen this guy like 20 years ago at a hardcore scene gig. Anyway, Alex Dunn. Now, where could he end up? Well, McLaren has invested a whole bunch of money, and they are investing in a new headquarters. I think it's a headquarters in Indianapolis. For their IndyCar team. It's a 3-car team, and it's doing reasonably well this year. Now, I say reasonably well because Alex Palou is kicking the shit out of everybody there, and I guess nobody would be more angry at that success than Zach Brown. So whether he sticks with Christian Lundgaard for next year, Pato O'Ward, I think, is absolutely a certainty to stay in that IndyCar team, but Christian Lundgaard and Nolan Siegel, who I almost forgot was even at that fucking team. The most notable thing Nolan Siegel's done, I think, all year is just absolutely blow up on the radio at Iowa. So, not great out of Nolan. Now, could Alex Dunn end up at an IndyCar? Could well do. Is he likely to end up in Formula One? I don't see it. Even if he is a champion, I'm not sure I see it. A little bit like Nick DeVries, until he was thrown a lifeline in 2023. He was what? F2 champion in 2019, I think, Nick DeVries, and then just the F1 dream for all intents and purposes and all money looked like it was totally done until he was thrown a lifeline years later. Or Felipe Drugovich, F2 champion, never going to drive one of these cars, it looks like. Just never going to happen. Um, yeah. I mean, Dunn wouldn't be the first F2 champion or GP2 champion if you want to go back that way, or even F3000 champion who's never progressed or made the step up or even gotten the chance in F1. So it's a shame for him because he looks pretty quick. He looks pretty decently quick. Now, anyway, another bit of news, which I'm not seeing anyone really talking about right now, and it pertains to another series and it pertains to F1. Consequently, goodness. Inadvertent tongue twisters, that's my favourite thing, but basically the FIA has agreed, given a deal, a 10-year extension with a further 5 years on top of that, potentially, to Formula E. That is going to make it already is, but it is going to extend the deal that it is the exclusive FIA World Championship for electric open wheel cars. Only FE is a World Championship that is all electric. That is their deal. You can't have F1 running all electric cars because it wouldn't be a World Championship. It wouldn't be a legitimate World Championship according to Formula E. Now, that's a deal that they struck years ago. Several years ago, they got that deal underway, and it was part of their deal to make it from just a championship into a World Championship. Because that happened, I think, year 5, 6 or so after FE started. So it is a World Championship now, which makes FE champions like Stoffel Van Dorn and Nick de Vries and whatnot, that makes them world champions. FIA recognize world champions, not like you get in the US where you get the World Series. Like the Yankees are world champions of baseball and they played other American teams and Toronto. But what that means for F1, now it's good for FE as long as that continues, which doesn't look good. Well, it's not looking great, I'll put it that way. Looks like that championship has absolutely plateaued and no one really gives a shit. I've tried watching that shit before. I have tried, and it just is missing something. It really is missing something. I don't know if it's just the cars are overall slow, they're ugly as sin. The fact that they got to pump music over the racing, I think, is just fucking stupid. The fact that they sound like just vacuum cleaners rather than actual cars. The whole thing's a little bit hard to take seriously. And more than anything, Formula E circuits are fucking dog shit. Like, the majority of those tracks are absolute anus. I have seen more entertaining shit on a sidewalk than some of those Formula E tracks. Like, they're just abysmal. However, that aside, what it means is, for all of us who cannot be arsed with the all-electric championship, it's great because Formula 1 will not be all-electric at least through 2053. Potentially 2053. At the very least 2048, potentially 2053. It means that all of this talk about what's the next power unit, like the one coming next year, the one that could be coming soon after that, would it be normally aspirated V8s with eco fuel or any of that sort of shit? What's coming next? I can tell you, it's not going to be electric, all electric, and that is fucking music to me ears. Much like those guys in the grandstands, I was vibing to that shit. It's just brilliant because it means that F1 will, in some way or another, have internal combustion engine propulsion, which means noise, and it means soul, and it means entertainment. Great. Which is kind of three things I just think I'm missing from Formula E. I know there's fans of Formula E for whatever fucking reason. I mean, different strokes and all of that. I'll tell you, I watch all sorts of racing. All sorts. F1, Indy, F2, F3, Indy, what do they call it? Indy Next now, which is just stupid. I still like calling it Indy Lights. I've watched the Champ Cars back in the day, Formula Atlantic, World Rally, V8 Supercars, DTM, World Touring Cars. I watch Macau. I watch all the juniors that I can, like Italian F4, Japanese fucking Formula Regional, everything. I love it all. NASCAR, great. You know, whether it's an oval, whether it's tin top, drag racing, whatever the fuck, I love it all. I just cannot get into Formula E. It just doesn't fucking work. It just doesn't get me at all. It really, really doesn't. And I know all this, like, it's entertaining and yeah, it's all. I just, it might be entertaining to some, but I just don't vibe with that shit. Now, what else has happened? It's been a little bit. It's been a little bit of a lull in action, not just today, because now we're 40 minutes past the hour and there's still no fucking racing going. And I tell you, the best thing is, there is a countdown clock on this. We cannot be here beyond the 3-hour mark and still racing. So at the very least, there's that. You know, it's a hell of a thing that Spa potentially could have 2 races in 5 years just totally washed out. Especially now that it's in the middle of the summer. Like, it's July. It is July 27th. It's in the middle of fucking summer in Europe. And this is what you get. Now here we go. Career profile. Laurent Mekies, 24 years in F1. He's worked for 6 of the teams. Arrows. He worked for Minardi, which is how he ended up with Red Bull. Initially in Toro Rosso. He went to Ferrari. He worked at the FIA as well. He's been all over the place. So I think he's a decent guy to get in to settle the ship. Very, very different. He's a very different personality from Christian Horner, which I think that team desperately needed because the Horner thing had just gotten untenable. I mean, Horner may have been a smarmy cunt, but he was also a very successful smarmy cunt. But a smarmy cunt nonetheless. Laurent Mekies doesn't really do that. From all I've heard, from all I've read over the years, Laurent Mekies is very different. He's very, very laid back, very unassuming. It should be a decent team boss for them because I think Horner... You know, people said that the Drive to Survive thing kind of got to Ricciardo's head a few years ago. Maybe it did a little bit. Maybe it did. But I get the feeling it really did get to Christian Horner's head as well because you think you're the star. You think you're the goddamn belle of the ball. Yeah, just... the days of these really loud personality types, I think, sort of coming to an end when it comes to F1 team managership, or just management in general, because a lot of younger workforces just don't fuck with that sort of stuff. Either way, guys like Christian Horner, and Christian Horner specifically himself, days are numbered and now he's gone. I think the only surprising thing about that to me was when it happened. Because I hadn't heard shit. Apparently he hadn't heard shit either. Didn't hear even a whisper about it. Didn't even hear a whisper about it. That it was happening right there. Right after Silverstone. I mean, I would have been ear to the ground always. But I would have been all over that sort of stuff. That's a big, big move. And it's kind of crazy because I remember 2023. 2 years ago, we were watching Max Verstappen just romp away to win after win after win after win after win. It was insane. Red Bull lost a single race in 2023, just the one. And we're not even 2 full years removed from that, and the team boss is done. And a few people who actually put all of that shit together are done. I mean, look at that crowd. They're still feeling it. They're still feeling it. The crowd in the covered grandstand, at the very least, is still feeling dry, so they've got that going for them. There's kind of nothing really else you can do. There's kind of nothing really I can do right now either. If you've got any questions, please feel free to throw them in. I'll answer whatever. Now, one other thing I guess we could talk about, look at him down there in 18th on the timing board, Mr. Lewis Hamilton. Now, he was asked in the week, does the new suspension that they've added to the Ferrari, not the overall layout that they did at the front of the car this year, but they've revised their suspension. It's come this race. They also had a revised floor a couple of rounds ago that definitely raced at Silverstone, but it was wet, so it's sort of hard to really gauge how that sort of stuff goes. They asked Lewis, is this going to help you turn the season around? Is this going to help you really get to grips with the car? Because he's been complaining all season that he's just not really vibing with the car. And he just said, no, straight, no, it's not going to. So he's really not convinced about whatever Ferrari has put on the car. Maybe he'll become convinced, who knows? But I tell you, it's been very out of sorts lately, Lewis Hamilton. Very out of sorts. I can't help but wonder if maybe if he had retired, no matter which way it went, if he had retired after 2021, whether he won or lost the championship, which he ended up losing or winning, depending on whatever side of the fence you're on. Yeah, look at that. Tough run of races for Carlos Sainz. 2 points in 5 events. Fuck. Ooh, not great. He did well in the sprint yesterday, though, didn't he? So at least there's that. It's a shame the actual Grand Prix qualifying went nowhere. Now he's starting from the pits. Yeah, Lewis. I'm not sure about Lewis. Really, really not sure about Lewis. I think on paper, getting him into Ferrari was a good move. I'm shocked that he left, to be honest. What was I saying? Maybe he should have retired after 2021. I think if he didn't have this whole arc of his career where ever since they went to the it's a very interesting hat on that fella at Haas, very Spanish. The ground effect era, if Lewis hadn't stuck around for the ground effect era, I get the feeling his legend would have been immortal. Basically, here is a guy who won over 100 races. I think he got over 100 pole positions as well, which is just fucking crazy. Here is an absolute. Here is a stud. Here is the thoroughbred world champion, if you know what I mean. Like, this guy won it all, and he just destroyed most comers. He could have been a legend. He could have absolutely gone down as a legend. He still will, don't get me wrong, he still will, but it would have been, you wouldn't have had this sort of almost Valentino Rossi-esque just really tapering down at the end of the career. I think somebody with his stats, somebody with his career probably deserved to go out on top. And in terms of form, competitiveness, results, things like that, I think if he'd have dipped after 2021, he would have been just totally immortalized, and it would be just unquestionable. That's the best. That's the best there ever was, especially for Sky F1. That's the best there ever was, the best there ever will be. Mr. Lewis Hamilton right there. But it's not really coming together for him. 22 was shit, not great. 23, still not great. 24, bad. Really, really wasn't great out of Lewis Hamilton either. And 25, for the most part, has been pretty rubbish. Now, he tends to come alive a little bit more in the races themselves. We've seen Lewis qualifying a little bit further down, but then generally being able to fight his way up, like Spain, or I forget what the track's called, Imola, where he did that there as well. Generally does it well. He does it well, and you still see glimpses of the Lewis that we were seeing 10 years ago, just tearing things apart. But I see him in 18th here. I just see it not quite coming together at Ferrari. I see him just very, for a guy who's dreamed of driving for Ferrari his whole life, we're around 13, and he just almost looks despondent. Like he just doesn't quite know what's happening. It's like he's just, it's like when you get, it's like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Man United. Here he is, here's the big chance, and then it just starts falling apart within a couple of months, and then you just think, oh my god, it's not happening. And then just the longer it goes on, the more it just gets, the more it really starts becoming apparent it's not going to happen. Now, Lewis also came out in the week and said, that he's at Ferrari to get championship number 8. Oddly, he said that Kimi, Raikkonen, Fernando Alonso, Seb Vettel, they all went to Ferrari. None of them won championships with Ferrari, and that he wasn't going to let that happen to him. Which is an odd thing to say because Kimi Raikkonen was world champion for Ferrari. So, you know, Lewis, buddy, you were there, mate. You were there. Who won it in 2007? Who beat you? What was he driving? Come on. But I get his point. He means Kimi Raikkonen's second Ferrari career, although that was just more of a elongated funeral than anything. He's right there. Alonso got very, very close. Very close. 2 championship showdowns he had with Ferrari. 2 times he really could have been champion, and it just didn't happen. 2010, I think the team totally fucked it up. 2012, just bad luck. Just bad luck. If he didn't get taken out at Spa in that massive crash at Turn 1, or if he didn't have a DNF at Suzuka, or any of these sorts of things. If his engine doesn't blow up at Malaysia in 2010, he's also champion. So it kind of goes all ways. Seb had retirements as well, which didn't help him in those seasons, but Alonso very close to being a world champion for Ferrari. So it's not like it was, it didn't happen, but it's not like it was that impossible for him. Look at the rain coming down behind Binotto here. Fuck, I get the feeling it's going to be a long fucking night. It's going to be a long night. So have fun if you're joining in. What was I talking about? Lewis Hamilton, yeah. Seb Vettel couldn't get it done though. And kind of surprising because Seb Vettel was so good at Red Bull. He was good too. If you want to talk about a multiple world champion having a career tail off like it shouldn't have, and going to another team right at the end of his career, after, in Seb Vettel's case, after Ferrari, going to another team further down the grid and just spending 2 years kind of pootling around doing nothing and then retiring. I suppose Seb got 1 podium for Aston Martin, which is a pretty decent return. Sort of. Not great though. It's amazing actually. When I think of 15 years ago, Seb Vettel, July 2010, Seb Vettel was still not leading the championship, because he didn't lead that championship until he actually won it at Abu Dhabi in 2010. But Seb was just so hot. He was the man. He was absolutely the man, with the plan to get the kids and the championship in the van. He was brilliant. So quick. So bloody quick. Just ferociously fast. Had a decent pass on him as well, which a lot of people said that he couldn't overtake. He couldn't get, which is why he never won from lower down than 3rd place, because he could never pass like a world champion or any of that. I say it's fucking bullshit. The reason he never won from further down the grid than 3rd was because he was usually qualifying on pole. He was fantastic, absolutely phenomenal. And then the Ferrari move happened, and then somewhere along the way it broke his brain, and he just never recovered. Charles Leclerc came in 2019 and just destroyed him enough. Not in the same way that Alonso destroyed Kimi at Ferrari, but it was enough that before the 2020 season actually got started in earnest, after the COVID delays, Seb had already been replaced for 2021 by Carlos Sainz, and that was Ferrari pursuing Sainz as well. That wasn't Seb quitting. That was nothing to do with him, which is why it took him so long to get a deal done to then drive for Aston Martin the next year. Ferrari were done with him and they wanted Carlos Sainz, which I think was a great move for them. The Lewis thing though, I said last season I couldn't see then what Ferrari could get out of Lewis Hamilton that they wouldn't be getting out of Carlos Sainz. And what I mean by that is they already have a superstar driver who is rapid, absolutely rapid, amazing at qualifying. If the car behaves, he can get the win done as well. I think Charles Leclerc is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and he is essentially a Lewis Hamilton type of driver, if you know what I mean. Just His main strength is his speed. He's so bloody quick. Carlos Sainz was a bit yin-yang like that. Not as quick as Leclerc. Never as quick as Leclerc in terms of just out-and-out speed. But he could get it done. He was very close. He wasn't that far off. But what he did also have was a brain. He was very good tactically. He was very good developmentally. Those two were such a great pairing, and I thought that Ferrari had basically a lock driver pairing that they could carry maybe even through to the end of the decade. And didn't happen, and now here I am looking at Lewis Hamilton, 18th place, just struggling all year. Paul Aaron there on screen might end up actually driving for Alpine this year. You never know. He's turning up again he's in the Sauber garage there. He did a Friday practice for them. Was that Silverstone or was that in Austria? I forget which, but he did a Friday practice for them, and he's going to be doing another one. I think it's Zandvoort. It's either Zandvoort or Monza soon after the summer break. So he's scheduled to be doing that. Or is it Hungary next week? I think it might even be Hungary. Now, actually, that's an interesting point, because if Bottas isn't going to turn up at Alpine this year, and it looks like now he won't, because why do that when you've already got a Cadillac contract in your hand? If that's how it's going to be, then Colapinto could, he could end up seeing out the season, you never know, but if Colapinto spends the next, today and next week, not doing anything and crashing and all of that, here we go. Tsunoda, favourite movie, The Beekeeper. Yellow flag, red flag's off. Here we go. Start procedure coming soon. Favourite movie, The Beekeeper. Fuck, mate. Jesus. It's not really, okay. Pet's a turtle named Kamekichi. That is adorable. Funniest moment in F1, karaoke with Pierre singing Hello by Adele. Okay, fair enough. Probably one of those you had to be there stories. The Beekeeper. Favourite movie, The Beekeeper. Fuck me dead, Yuki, mate. What is that sort of taste? It's terrible. Timing tower is... The red flag's gone and it's just saying yellow flag. I can even see it behind Yuki Tsunoda there. I mean, something red is pulsating at the bottom of the screen. I'm not sure if that's still a yellow flag. Oh, it's still a red flag, rather, on the timing screen that they have at the track. But the timing screen I've got here, you can see it just next to me here. That little yellow strip at the top, yellow flag. It's not a red flag anymore. So, and look at that. Tents are starting to get packed away, I think. We're going to be going racing soon. And I got to tell you, I also haven't been... I don't know what the fuck's going on audibly, actually. I should probably put these back on. I figured, what's the point of wearing these when all I'm going to hear is David Croft for the next 45 minutes. 57 minutes, fuck me dead. Well, if you're just joining us, well done. You missed the first hour of that, so good job. Yeah, look at that, sunshine. So, that's what I was saying before. It looked like there was a big bit of rain coming, and then it looked quite patchy after that. There was like, almost like a crevice, a butt crack, if you will, in that cloud, that band of cloud, and it looked like the crevice, the arse crack of that cloud was going to be coming over the track. So it looked like the weather would be clearing up a little bit sooner than around the track, and it looks like that's happening. Fantastic. Holy shit, we've got a race. We actually have a race. I have talked for a fucking hour. I don't even know if anything I've said has gone in. I don't even know if it was important. Either way, what I do know is we're going to be going racing soon. Now, I would wager there will be a few laps, probably a couple. There'll be a sighting lap from the safety car, which will then say, yep, we'll be okay. We'll be okay to go. There will be at least one formation lap. There might be a couple to try to just dispel some of that water off the track. After that, we go again. Oh, how about that? So the 3 hour time period has not yet started because the race itself has not yet started. I thought the formation lap would have been the start of the race. Technically, it would have been the start of the race. I mean, I can see why technically it's not. But the car's also circled. You know, if you don't do the formation lap, you go a lap down. You know what I mean? So... well, not really, but, you know, can't quite explain what I mean here. But, however, it's a very varied crowd. Oh, here we go. What is this, a picture of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg from back in the day? Yeah, they're not quite that close anymore, are they? I tell you, that was amazing. From a pure athletic standpoint, like just viewing that from afar, that was an amazing championship. What was going on there between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, just the drama in that. I think that is probably as good a story as Formula One could tell cinematically, which they could have done that for the F1 movie that they shut out into cinemas last month, but looks like they just did a sequel to Driven instead, which is a shame because that was fantastic. That was two guys pushing each other. That was, I mean, you talk about Drive to Survive drama. This is absolutely fantastic. Two childhood friends who grew up together, who came up through the ranks together, pitted against each other for the championship 3 years in a row, and just watching their dynamic where it slowly just started falling apart. And it's that whole thing of, what is this championship worth and how far are you willing to go to get it? And you have that. Ooh. Scheduled start of the race, maybe. No, there's still no 10-minute warning yet for the start, but that should be coming. I'd say as soon as this car has finished its lap, comes in and they say, yep, good to go. Again, it looks like a bit of spray, but that spray is going to be going quite quickly. Either way, that 2016 season was absolutely fantastic. It was just brilliant. Just seeing it was the culmination of everything that had come before that between those two, and it was just incredible to see such high drama. Ended with Nico Rosberg winning his only championship, and then a few days later dipping the fuck out the sport. So it kind of works like a movie because there was no real epilogue or anything like that. It was just bam, that's it, done. You know. Credits roll, curtain call, done. That's it. That's the end of the story. So, God, what I wouldn't have given for a dramatization of that. A little bit like we got with Rush, but maybe not directed by fucking Ron Howard. Again, if he's your cup of tea, fair enough, but he sure ain't mine. It's Nico Rosberg as well on the broadcast talking about Ayrton Senna winning a road car race against everybody else. You know, which is lovely. I think if anybody uses that as definitive proof of Ayrton Senna being the very best of all time, like, probably get your head checked. I mean, it's a nice thing to have, for sure, but there's a fair few caveats to doing a race like that as well. Well, the medical car has pulled up at the end of the track, just before the bus stop chicane. Lawrence Stroll talking to Andy Cowell now. It's going to be interesting to see what Aston Martin can do next year. They've got Adrian Newey on board, which is absolutely brilliant for them. They've got Honda on board, which is absolutely brilliant for them. Is it going to come together day one? Fernando Alonso, I'm sure, hopes it will. Likely it probably won't, but it won't be very far beyond that it starts to come together. Adrian Newey joined Red Bull, I think it was in 2006. He left McLaren for Red Bull. And they didn't win a championship till 2010, but they were competitive in 2009. The Toro Rosso, which was essentially a Red Bull in 2008, but with a Ferrari engine rather than a Renault engine, that ended up winning a race with Seb Vettel. There we go. The race will resume at 4:20 local time. Get those bongs packed, everybody. 4:20. We reach the sky. Here we go. 15 minutes left. And then we go racing again. Fucking finally. So... just gone midnight here as well, so... The other shame of this is it's going to be a race where we go from wets to dries. Unless the rain comes back during the race, it looks like it's going to be a one-stopper and whoever gets from wets to dries. That's the lottery. Now that could be very interesting. But the sheer jeopardy, Spa 98 style of just torrential rain, it looks like is not going to affect this race, rather than just put it back an hour and 20 minutes. Not sure how I feel about that. I was kind of, if it's going to rain, then you get a decent amount of rain, and then you have a really, potentially a wild race. This could still be a wild race, so you never know. Maybe I'm just a little bit too cynical. Either way, just to remind everybody, that's, well, you can see it up here. There you are. That's the timing tower here. So what? Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, Verstappen, Albon, Russell, Tsunoda, Hadjar, Lawson, and Bortoletto. Now, all of those guys are going to stay there. We will see Haas 11th and 12th. Now, Haas looks pretty good. Gasly in 13th. Gasly has absolutely outperformed that car lately. 13th is kind of the upper end of where it can belong, of where it probably should belong, but he's been managing to drag that into points positions, into top 10 qualifyings quite often this year, so well done Pierre Gasly. Alpine, who are still dead last the Constructors' Championship as well, so not going great for them, which is why Colapinto, starting in 15th, is under such pressure right now. There we go, Belgian Grand Prix starts in 12 minutes and 43 seconds. Lovely. Well, in the end, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. There's Kimi Antonelli. He's having a bit of a rough time of it lately, isn't he? Had a podium in Canada, which was absolutely brilliant. It's been his only podium of the year. Oh, Charles Leclerc and Toto Wolff just high-fiving each other. So 2026, Charles Leclerc to Mercedes. You heard it here first. Kimi Antonelli off to Ferrari. That's it. Called it right then and there. That casual high five said it all to me. That's what's happening. Lock it in. By the way, Kimi Antonelli, he's had an okay season so far. He's had a lot of flashes of great, but the thing is, he's still so young, isn't he? What is he? 18 years old. I don't think he's 19. Yeah, I think he's just 18 years old. So, as you'd expect, he's going to be doing things that an 18-year-old would, like, you know, going too deep in some apexes, maybe crashing some cars, maybe, you know, hitting the wall at Monaco, say, things like that. This is why it's good, I think. I don't know what the point is of having F2 when you try to rush your junior through it, like rush your junior drivers through it as quickly as you can. I understand everyone is absolutely desperate to get to F1 and they want to get there as quickly as they can, but there is such a thing as getting there too early. Um, and I like you want to be there. You really want to make it to the F1 grid because chances are, if you can make it, it's a lot easier to keep your seat than it is to get a seat if it looks like you're unlikely to make it, if you know what I mean. Um, Depending on where you are on the grid, as long as you're not like a UGE day tier shitter, um, either that or your seat's cursed like Jack Doohan's was. Um, yes. I know, right? Either way, it's I don't know why they would rush them through F2 so much. I mean, we see with Kimi Antonelli, and he has boatloads of potential. He still does. He did fantastically well in some of these races, but they're still so young, and I don't know why it seems so many teams want to shoehorn everybody as the next Max Verstappen, because Max also crashed several times in his first few seasons in Formula One. He was pretty fucking wild. I mean, the potential was there. You could tell he was good, but you could tell he was also really fucking wild sometimes. Some of the moves he was pulling in the braking areas and in the braking zones rather, and his big crash at Monaco in 2015, I think, just came from pure just distracted by Zach Brown here. Just came from pure inexperience. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've got these categories where you can keep somebody as long as they're not champion. And Kimi Antonelli was not champion of F2 last year. I mean, you can keep these guys in there as long as you need. They can learn the tracks. They can do a little bit more running in F1 on Fridays or on test days or things like that. I mean, I don't think he's... I know, right? I don't think he's really under much pressure, Kimi Antonelli, beyond the pressure that he's probably putting on himself. I know that Toto Wolff wants to be very gentle with him. You're right, mate. Toto Wolff wants to be very, very gentle with Kimi Antonelli because he knows that he's young as well, but let's just hope that he can find a little bit of his mojo back, because he's not really coming off the boil, but he's definitely having a harder time of it lately. Still a fucking arseload of potential in that kid. Really, really, really a lot of potential. I genuinely think that Kimi Antonelli will be a world champion. I think of all these guys, all the names next to me, Norris or Piastri will be champion this year, so one of them is going to do it. I think Leclerc, Verstappen already is. I think Russell, Bortoleto, Behrman potentially. Science maybe in another lifetime could have been a world champion. He's sort of a Jensen Button type, where he was quick enough. He doesn't have the absolute out and out speed of, say, like Button did with Lewis Hamilton, but he's clever. He's a clever racer. He's a canny racer, and good feel for the car as well. Jensen Button always had. What else have we got down there? Hamilton and Antonelli, of course, and Alonso. I think there's a few world champions on the grid in waiting if all the stars align, if things go well for them. And I think Kimi Antonelli is absolutely one of them now. Grand Prix starts in 6 minutes and 50 seconds. This could be the longest pre-race ramble I have ever done in my life. It has been nearly 90 minutes of talk before we start getting going, so... I'll tell you, I'm already almost hoarse. Speaking of horses, it's not quite 1 a.m. yet. Yeah, so, okay, well, we've got 6 minutes. Let's just wrap up anything else that I've got here. So, Horner, we've already done that. We'll see how that works out for Red Bull. We'll see how that works out for Christian Horner. It's like a glass coffin. There's remains to be seen. What happens in all of that, but I guess at the end of the day, Horner had to go. It's like when the old Don dies... all of the other guys got to go with him. They all got to go. And Christian Horner was one of the old guys, and he had to go. He had to go because that's just the way of the world. You can see the radar there now, and it looks like just sunny skies for the rest of the afternoon. So there's a tiny little bit of cloud band kind of hanging around, but it doesn't look like there's really anything, and I get the feeling that'll be the end of the rain for the evening. Now, Horner, Max to Mercedes. That was really all I was hearing for a few weeks, but it looks like that's not going to happen. Mercedes definitely aren't going to buy him out of a contract. There is no break clause in his contract now. So Max is stuck, for want of a better word, at Red Bull. I'd say without Christian Horner, it's a little bit of glass half full, or maybe what's the idiom? What's the adage? Bit of one, bit of another. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Christian Horner's gone, which is great because of the Verstappen camp. I'm not sure about Max. I don't think Max was really the one with the problem. It was definitely Jos, and it was definitely all of those. They didn't like Christian Horner. They wanted him gone. I think Max just wants a fast car and a relatively drama-free team. That's all he wants. He is about as pure of a race car driver as he can get. He just wants to drive, and he just wants to drive quick. That's it. Race will start behind the safety car. Right, so it looks like, because we've already done the formation, minimum of 2 laps behind the safety car, 2 laps behind the safety car, then they'll call it, which is what I was saying before. Well done me. Yeah, Max Mercedes could happen in the future. We'll see. I mean, a lot of it depends on what happens to Red Bull next year. So Christian Horner being gone, I'm sure there is people in Verstappen's camp who are happy with that. Definitely the Austrians are happy with that. Helmut Marko and all of that, they're very happy with that. We'll see how long Helmut Marko hangs around as well, because he was Mateschitz' man. He's no one else's man in that team, in that organisation. He's been there for a very long time. He's basically part of the furniture. What furniture? Probably a grandfather clock. But we'll see how much longer he has left to go, especially when I'm already hearing that Sebastian Vettel's being tapped up as a potential Helmut Marko replacement. Now, whether he wants to take that role or not, it's up to him. He's certainly not racing anything lately. I've been hearing word that he might get into World Endurance Championship racing. Will said Vettel. Word is that he wants to do Le Mans at least one day, but we'll see. He's still quite young as well. He's only, just 38, give or take. So actually, I'm not sure when he was born. I'm pretty sure he was a July birthday, which would put him at 38. So we'll see. Or maybe he's in August. Whatever. He's right on the cusp of 38. So he's still got time to do all of that sort of stuff, but we'll see what happens there. Now the other part is, it all just comes down to the car. It comes down to the team, what Laurent Mekies can do with it, and what kind of car that they can put out for next year, what kind of engine they put out for next year. If the car is bad, if the engine is bad, if the team is not kicking on like it should, I think Max is absolutely out the door. And he will, if the team is bad enough, he will hit that brake clause no matter what. Because he won't be competitive enough. I think next year has to be top 2 in the championship. I read that somewhere, that he has to be top 2 in the championship halfway through 2026, or else he can leave. Not sure about that. I mean, it's such a massive rule reset next season that it could really be anything. I mean, I don't think it will be Williams running away with it, or Haas running away with it, or anything like that, but it could be. So we'll see. We'll see. That said, if Red Bull can keep it together, if they can keep Max, then I think, well, that means that they're going to be competitive, which would be great. If they can't keep Max, it's because that team is going off a cliff. And honestly, if they can't dig themselves out of the hole that they've dug the last couple of seasons with this car, and the fact that it's just continuously going downhill especially over the last year, I'm not sure what they think they can achieve with a new car and a new engine next year. But, like I said, remains to be seen. We'll see what happens in that team. So Max to Mercedes, probably not yet, but could well do in the future. And Toto Wolff has said that his priority right now, he keeps saying things like, my priority now is George and Kimi Antonelli. Now, how long either of them get for a deal, we'll see. I think both of them would want a decent, solid, long deal. They would want a decent, solid, long deal, which will keep them at the team for 3-5 seasons, something like that. Especially George Russell, because he came into this team at the end of 21 and he was primed to fight for a championship after his initiation at Williams, and it's never happened because the team's never given him the chance. Team never gave him the car that would give him a chance to fight for a championship, so he doesn't want to just hang around for nothing. He also wants a competitive car. I'd say whoever falls out of Mercedes ends up at Aston Martin, because they might be filling one or both of those seats soon. You never know. I'd say Lance Stroll has the seat as long as he wants it, but we will see 15 seconds before the safety car leaves. So here we go. That's a very old school way of starting the race, isn't it? Holding up a 15-second board. So, green flag. There we go. That is the race. This is lap 1. Which is... yeah, from what I can understand, this is the race. This is lap 1. This isn't even a formation lap. We've already had the formation lap. This is lap 1. This is just like Monza 2008 when the safety car started the race, and that was it. They just started the race like that. Like a formation lap that just sort of went for a little bit, and then before you know it, it's lap, I don't know, 4 or 5, whatever it was. We're on the way. Congratulations, Formula One. We did it. We did it, Reddit. Well done. Now, you can still see there's a lot of spray there. A lot of spray, which is why they're starting the race behind the safety car. I know, we're racing again. How nice is that? So here we go, lap 1, I guess. And it looks like everybody's holding position. It's all very well behaved on the start and all of that nonsense. And I tell you what, one thing with the spray now is you're going to have all of this sunshine going through it. It's doing that a little bit in Silverstone as well when the sun came out. Whoop. McLaren asking, better than before. So McLaren just asking what the visibility's like, and he says the straight's bad. Yeah, it is. So I was about to allude to just then, the sunshine coming through the spray is what makes it so difficult to see now, because it's just, the light is reflecting all off of all of that water that's right in their eyes, so it's almost just like a wall of light that they are having to pierce with their cars at 200 miles an hour. It's very white knuckle ride stuff. Oh, come here. Come on. I don't know what it is with cats, but they get into such bad habits sometimes. Come on. Come on. I know, you big whinger. Good grief. It's been a very weird race, this one, so far. It's been very, very strange. Got cats over here causing issue. I haven't even started racing, and it's... well, we've only just started racing. Haven't started properly racing, and it's already nearly 12:30 in the evening. Or the morning. I know, right? I know. It's okay, we're racing now, look. Look at that. Huh? There you go. There's that, huh? So here we go. Lap 2 of the Belgian Grand Prix. Now they said 2 laps behind the safety car. Initially, they could extend that. They could extend that if they don't think that... ooh, look at... the car's really bunching up at the top of the hill there. Alright, so Leclerc saying, reminder, you can extend to 20 car lengths. So that's 20 car lengths ahead of the guy, or behind the guy who's in front of him. Normally that would be 10 in wet conditions, but 20 in wet conditions, because it's better to keep these guys strung out a little bit when there's so much water rather in the air. So much water mist going around now. So Carlos Sainz in 17th. So the field is quite spread out already, actually. Yeah, you know what? It looks like the end of the second lap. Now, I haven't seen safety car ending yet, but I get the feeling that that call will be coming soon. It could be that they run one more lap maybe behind the safety car, but no, that looks pretty okay. I mean, just looking at the Pouon corner there, that looks fine. That really does look okay. Lewis Hamilton radio saying it's drying pretty quick. So it's a little bit like Silverstone this race in that the dry is coming and you just got to basically pick the moment when you get off these tyres. When you get off these tyres and then when you get onto the slicks. Yeah, it looks like the safety car is still going to go around. Yeah, lights are still on the safety car, so we're going to get at least one more lap behind the safety car. So Lando's saying that it's the grid. Are they going to do a fucking standing start after this? I thought they would just let them go. I know that they did that at Hockenheim in 2019. They did at least a couple of standing starts that race, following like safety cars and red flags and all of that. So again, it's just one of those rules that doesn't really come up all that often. I can't remember what the procedure is. That safety car just cut the white line on the track, by the way, so safety car will be getting a penalty for that. You know, I'd tell you, if I'm Alex Albon, say, I would want the race to just start a rolling start behind the safety car, you know? Like, safety car pulls in and then there's no standing start at all, you just go basically as you are. Albon's already fifth and he stands to lose potentially a lot if they go to a standing start. He could jump up, but he could also just get drilled from behind. He could also have a bad start. When you're already fifth in a Williams, I mean, that's pretty safe already. You kind of want to just let that ride. There we go, race control. What's this? What's this going to be? Nothing, it's just telling us that it's race control. Yes, we knew that. Sorry, I thought they were going to put up a message from race control about the safety car, maybe. And the safety car lights are still on, so it would be about now that they turn off if they were going to end the safety car period. Oh. Now Lando's dropped back a little bit, but he's still keeping up with it, which means, yeah, I think the safety car is still going to keep up. It's still going to stay out, so, alright, another lap behind the safety car, why not? You know, it's like waiting all year for Christmas, and then Christmas morning comes, and then you get told, actually, we'll be doing presents in the evening, so just wait a little bit longer. Like, come on, let's get this shit going, shall we? Some of us have to work in the fucking morning. Wait. Excuse me. Now, I don't know if this is just they're trying to get water off the right side of the grid to then do a standing start. If that's the deal, the start's not fucking worth it. Just let them go. Let them go, let them race. If they want to do... If they just want to keep pumping laps behind the safety car just to get water off one side of the grid, that could be the most asinine shit I've ever seen out of F1, at least this season. Like, just let them fucking go. Let them race. Just let them go. Rolling start. There we go. Fucking thank God for that. Thank fucking Christ for that. We've got a little bit of common sense here. Rolling start. Good. Good. So this should be, if they're going to do a rolling start, surely it's the safety car in this lap then, because it looks fine. There's still a bit of spray on the Kemmel Straight, but that will be disappearing very, very quickly. It's not nearly as bad as it was. Not even close. Green flag up ahead. Am I bugging? Did I just see a green flag flashing on the track? Surely it should be yellow, right? Nah, whatever. So, anyway, lap 4, we're working. Working lap 4, Norris, Piastri, Leclerc. Nobody has moved up or down yet, as you bloody expect, except for everybody who started from the pits. Now, it's not close to switching to dry tyres yet, but it is going to be very interesting when that happens. Now, here is Norris starting to back up a little bit, which tells me the safety car... It doesn't say the safety car's ending yet, though. We haven't seen that the safety car's ending. I tell you, the safety car right now is going through Blanchimont. These guys are still way down back on the straight, so I'd assume the safety car's ending. Unless Lando's been told the safety car is ending and then it's not. I mean, here we go. It looks like we're starting. Here we go. Green flag. I heard it was a rolling start. I didn't hear that the safety car was ending, though, so that's kind of fried me brain a little bit. Now, here we go. So, Norris would have started the rolling start back there just to get a little bit of heat into his brakes. Because nobody can pass him in the final chicane, that's fine, but what he wants is to get to turn 1 with some decent brakes. And it looks like he's gone through just fine at turn 1. Here we go. The Racing Bulls are getting a little bit close. The Haas's are getting close, but it looks like everybody else is mostly... Oh, look at Piastri right on the back of Lando Norris. Very, very close. Very, very close. Side by side. Here we go. This is what we were thinking yesterday might happen. Now is Norris going to try to duck in and get a little bit of a slipstream? He's not going to be able to get it done. Piastri's done it. Piastri's got it done. Lando, buddy, what have you done, mate? It's going to say, I think the reason Lando went so early was so he would have a little bit of tyre temperature, a little bit of brake heading into turn 1. So that science has just gone by Lance Stroll as well. Another, looks like, tactical maybe mistake. Lance Stroll's back in front of science. It looks like maybe another tactical mistake from Lando Norris. Now, remember, there's no DRS right now because the track's all wet. Hilariously, Alonso right now with the fastest lap. A little bit Nikita Mazepin, that one. Nah. Norris, why do I have no pack? Okay, so that would be something to do with the KERS, with the battery. Oh dear. Okay, so yeah, that's probably why Piastri had such a straight line advantage over him. I think Norris is missing a few horses from that power unit. And if that's the case, I think this race is already over. Piastri's going to win. Coming back, we lose a lot on the safety car restart. Okay. So Norris should have more battery power then. Well, oh dear, that's a absolute calamity then for Lando Norris. It's not great for him at all. He finished behind Piastri yesterday, and it looks like he could well end up doing so today. Oh, here's George Russell on Alex Albon. Looks like a pretty clean move. Not bad. Alex is still hanging on a little bit, but yeah, that'll be fine. Now, Tsunoda's ahead of both the Racing Bulls right now. How charitable do the Racing Bulls want to be? Oh, look at Leclerc. He's gone quite wide into the chicane. Max is going to be right on him. And it's a good place to be right close to the guy ahead of you because there's a very long straight coming up. Is Max going to try the same move that he did 10 years ago? I mean, he's got to get side by side with Leclerc first, but in the wet, surely he's not going to try it there. Nah, it's not even going to be close enough to do it. Going to say that would have been extremely brave to do that today. What with all the water around. It must be the water. Now Norris is within a second, but just remember there's no DRS, so he can hang close to Piastri, but okay, so it sounds like both the McLarens are having a little bit of trouble with their batteries. Maybe they should have charged them. Ha ha ha. Verstappen half a second off Leclerc. I think that's the one to watch right now, especially at this part of the track. And ask and you shall receive. Here's Max. Just not quite. He's not got that straight line speed that he did yesterday. They've packed a bigger wing onto that Red Bull. They're running a lot more downforce. And see, that's the thing. You want the downforce. You want more downforce than you would really require when it's raining, because it helps in the rain. You know, it gives you a little bit more grip than potentially you would have, or potentially other cars would have. But if they just do safety car, like red flags and then safety car laps until it basically dries out, maybe you don't really want to be carrying that downforce in a wet race after all. I mean, F1 is a weird sort of thing. I've seen them throw green flags and go racing when it's actually quite wet, and then you got days like today where they run it until it's basically dry. I think it's the spray up the Camel Straight. I think that's what gives everybody the shits here, because Eau Rouge and Redillon are such dangerous corner. It's such a dangerous little section, and the run up the straight after that is very narrow and very high speed, and I think that's what gives them the shit so bad. That's why they really, really don't like going racing when there's a lot of spray around. You could get like a wider track like a Sepang or the new Silverstone or things like that, where there's a lot of room to be moving around and potentially getting out of the spray, but this is an old school track. It's not the widest thing in the world. Oh, Sainz. Hamilton up the inside of Sainz into the bus stop, and he's got that done. Looks like Antonelli went way off there. Way off there. And he's back on. Looks like the Aston Martin's now down to 19th and 20th, so yeah. Aston absolutely having a fucking nightmare. Absolutely nightmare weekend this week. So here's Max Verstappen, still half a second, but you can see on the timing screen he's not really catching up at all. In fact, he dropped a tenth of a second near the end of the straight to Charles Leclerc, so that Ferrari is a lot quicker in a straight line than the Red Bull is. And basically what that means is, good luck getting by Leclerc. Oh, look at Lewis, he's absolutely on the move here. He's up to 15th now, past Colapinto. Driving angry today. He's really got like a point to prove here. Now you see him just dive over to the other side of the track. He's trying to keep the temperature of those intermediates down. Now, those inters, lest we forget, they are Pirellis, and they are very, very prone to just falling apart as soon as they are pushed just that little bit too hard. an inter tire, like an intermediate tire, doesn't really hold up in the dry anyway, but a Pirelli intermediate tire, I mean, jeez. I can imagine the track temperature is still high-ish. I mean, you could see like the vapor coming off the track before, like where all the water is starting to evaporate off the surface. Ah, look at those cars, they're really starting to slide around here. Now, it is only lap 8, and they did 4 laps behind the safety car and the formation lap, but the thing to remember is it's a very long lap. In fact, it is the longest lap, so 7Ks here is the equivalent of what? 1.5 Albert Park laps? It's still quite a distance to go. Lewis Hamilton on Nico Rosberg here. Hamilton up to 14th. Pierre Gasly ahead of him. Thank you, Lewis, you're giving us something to watch here. Good stuff. No change at the top. Yeah, so now it's waiting for if you're Max Verstappen and it looks like you're not going to get by, and I'm just watching the timing tower here. He's giving a tenth of a second away at the end of the straight. It's just not happening for him. It's just totally not happening for him. So now it all becomes, when can you make the pit stop? When can you switch to dries? When do dries start working? And how quickly can you make that work? The thing is, if you're a lap late, it is like I was saying, it's a very long lap. That's a lot of time to be dropping if you make the wrong tyre call. If you make it too early, it's a long way to go on slicks on a wet track. If you make it too late, it's a long way to go to be just dropping time, dropping second after second to the guys already on slicks when you're still running intermediates. So Verstappen's having no problem really staying about half a second behind Leclerc, but he just can't really do anything beyond that. Now, this is Lewis Hamilton. Gasly ahead of him. Oh, I mean, he's really, really going for it here. Really going for it. You can see just the traction that he's got out of corners. It's incredible. And there he goes, past Pierre Gasly. You don't see many passes there. And look at him, he's already dropped Pierre Gasly. In fact, look at Pierre Gasly. He's about to get passed by Sauber as well. Alpine is just struggling. Now ahead of Lewis Hamilton, both the Haas cars. Now it's a different team, but they are a Ferrari customer, so you could imagine maybe it's not going to be the hardest thing in the world for Lewis Hamilton to get by both of them. Alright, Piastri's saying it feels like it might not be too far off. He's talking about the switch to slick tyres. Actually, good point out of Crofty there. Which McLaren pits first? This is what I'm talking about. This is where the jeopardy is. If you're Norris and you pit to try to undercut, but it's too early, you lose a whole bunch of time and you potentially come out maybe even behind Leclerc. If you're Piastri and you pit too late, you drop so much time and Lando Norris can jump ahead of you. There's a lot of jeopardy coming up. Now 1.7 seconds is the gap. They might, if you're McLaren, they might ask Norris to drop back, maybe just a little bit. They got about 7 seconds to play with, back to Charles Leclerc. They could ask him potentially to back off just 2, 3, 4 seconds and then have a bit of room for both of those cars to essentially double stack without a penalty. Although Norris, if he has to drop back, I suppose you could consider that a bit of a penalty for it anyway. Look how quick those McLarens are compared to that Ferrari. Jeez. You know, it's a shame, like, Verstappen looks so much quicker than Charles Leclerc, just except at the end of the straight where he has to get the pass done. It's, I mean, well done Charles Leclerc for doing such a great qualifying lap and putting himself there, but for me as a viewer, it's actually kind of a shame. I get the feeling Verstappen fancies putting himself in this McLaren fight if he can get by the Ferrari. Oh, he is close. He's going to... it's not going to be close enough, though. The thing is, Verstappen's going to have to absolutely send it, but every lap that he doesn't... Oh, Leclerc's wide. There we go. Doors open. Oh, they're going to go side by side. No, Leclerc still manages to stay ahead. Ah, it was very, very close there. Very, very close. You can see Charles Leclerc is really struggling for grip. Max Verstappen, you could tell just how much more grip he's got. A bit more downforce, a little bit kinder in the tyres perhaps. But he just is not quick enough at the end of the straight. It's just not quick enough. This is Charles Leclerc. I don't know if it's downforce, but my god, my tyres are gone. No, that's Pirelli's, mate. Behrman passed Ocon as well, so Hamilton hanging right onto the back of both of those Haases, but not past them yet. Now, if I was the Haas guys, I would just be working in tandem, draft each other. Pass, repass if you have to, just draft each other and try to keep Hamilton at bay. They are really knocking on the door of points. 11th and 12th, they're very close. But if Hamilton gets by them, if Hamilton gets by the Haas, he's unlikely to go back behind them again, I'll put it that way. So they want to keep him behind as long as they can. Those McLarens have already disappeared down the road. Look at that. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. From Piastri to Leclerc. 10 seconds. Just incredible. 8 seconds between Norris and Leclerc. It's just... Now Norris 1.8 seconds behind Piastri. 2 seconds. So Oscar's really got this covered. I mean, he has looked the quicker driver all weekend. Except for Q3 yesterday. He looks like he really was getting it done. Norris is going to have to dig real deep to beat Oscar today. He's really going to have to dig deep to beat him. He's had a little bit of... Well, Hamilton box. Here we go. Here's where the fun starts now. Hamilton looks like he's going to be the first to do it. I tell you what, if Hamilton's willing to do it, if I'm Aston Martin or Antonelli, even Carlos Sainz, throw the Hail Mary. Like, it's just time to go with it. And it looks like Gasly and Hulk are following him in. And Alonso is too. So there we go. If you're down that end of the grid, you have to throw the Hail Mary. You have to do it because you're losing anyway. Like, you may as well. If you're 19th already, what do you lose? If you get it wrong, you're always fucked. If you get it right, could be a big winner. Now look at Fernando Alonso right on the back of Pierre Gasly. Alright, everybody, eyes on Hamilton, Hulk, Gasly and Alonso. That's the prize. And I tell you, the McLarens are going to be looking really, really closely at that too. So just looking at Hamilton's times, looks like he's catching Stroll at an alarming rate. Box, here we go, Leclerc, and look at that, Piastri's in. Norris can't go. Norris has to keep going. So they can't double stack them. Piastri, being the leading driver, gets to make the call. He's made the call to come in. Oh, that's a slow stop though. It's not the quickest. 2.8, yeah. It looked like it was pretty hesitant. Here we go. You're going to see pretty much half. We saw this a couple years ago, or at Spa. I think it was in the sprint. Oh, that's very, very close for Leclerc. That'll be an unsafe release. That's very likely to be a penalty for Charles Leclerc. Oh. Now, I don't know if that was strictly an unsafe release out of the pit crew, if Leclerc just had a hard time getting up to speed on slicks in a wet pit lane. It could have been that he was released and there was enough time, but he just couldn't get the car going quickly enough. Look at that, most of the cars have gone through the pits now. Tsunoda, Hadjar, Ocon, Norris are the only cars who have not hit the pits yet, so potentially a big loss for them. And look at that, Lewis Hamilton 11th. Look at where he's jumped up. Look at that, he's passed Bortoletto, he's past Behrman. Now, what is this? Leclerc. Oh no, that was cutting it very close. Yeah. Oh, that would definitely get. Yeah, that'll definitely get a look at by the stewards. Ah, maybe 50-50 with whether that's a penalty or not, but it was very, very close cutting. Now here we go. This is Lewis Hamilton. Oh, that's very close. Jeez, yeah, that's Hamilton and Liam Lawson. So Hamilton ahead of Lawson now. He is absolutely flying, and those his slicks are going to be well up to temperature too. Look at Norris, only 16 seconds to Piastri. It's already done. Oh, they're mixing it up. They're mixing it up. McLaren are mixing it up. They're going to put a hard tyre on Lando Norris. That's a slow stop. Too wide. Oh, at Blanchimont. Oh, jeez. Here we go. Oh, it's absolutely going off here. So here we go. Piastri's out ahead of Lando Norris. Piastri is a few seconds ahead, actually, of Lando Norris. What is that? 4.7. Maybe 6 seconds or so. By the time they get up to speed, yeah, 6 seconds there. Woof. Not great. Tsunoda, Hadjar, Ocon, all of them completely fucked now. Completely fucked. I think the only thing they can do is try to throw the other Hail Mary, which they're done with Lando Norris. 7 seconds now to Piastri. Woof. Which is put on the hard tyres. You put on the hard tyres and just pray that you can make it to the end. And also pray that you don't take too much out of the tyres weight-wise and get disqualified like George Russell did last year. Speaking of George Russell, there he is on screen, and now he's not because we're watching Lando Norris in the pits, and it looked like a little bit of a tardy stop. Look how worn. Yeah, front left. Wasn't great. Yeah, didn't go on. Didn't go on right. Look how worn those slicks are. Oh, those intermediates are rather. Oh, they totally fucked that front left up. Oh, come on. It's painful to watch it. Painful to watch it in slow motion. Jeez. 8.5 seconds. So those hard tyres are going to be hard to fire up. Now, all Norris has to do... Yeah, radio to Norris. All... No hurry here, just keep it on track. That's what I was about to say. All Norris has to do is keep it relatively close to Piastri. He doesn't have to be right up his ass or anything like that, because there is no way Piastri is going to get 30 plus laps of a medium tyre on this track. It's just not going to happen. Not those Pirellis. I just don't see it happening. All Norris has to do is just keep it maybe a little bit closer than he is right now, but not that much closer. It doesn't really need it, because Piastri, it looks like everybody else is going to pit, and he's the only one running the hards. That's surprising. And look at Stroll, Sainz, Ocon. So who didn't pit? It was Tsunoda, Ocon, Hadjar, I think it was. Those are the three that pitted too late, which is what I was saying. If you pit too late, you lose so much fucking time. And look at that. Tsunoda was running 7th, now down in 12th. There is so much time to be gained. And look at Lewis Hamilton up to 7th. And about half a second behind Alex Albon. Absolutely brilliant call out of Ferrari. Brilliant call from Lewis Hamilton. Phenomenal stuff. And to be able to keep it on the track as well. He was the pioneer there. He was the first one into every one of those corners, being the leading driver on slicks. He was the first one there, and he got it done. Well done, Lewis. Very good stuff. And here I was, like an hour ago, looking at Lewis Hamilton lining up 18th and thinking, I mean, Ted's going on about the stopping late as well. Ocon, I think, is probably the biggest loser out of that. Down in 20th by 8 seconds. That's going to be... I want to see a replay of his stop. I get the feeling something might have gone wrong, because that's a lot of time. A lot of time to be shipped. I mean, a lot of fucking time. I get the feeling something else might have happened with Ocon there. Again, it's very interesting that nobody else tried the hards. Look at that. They're about 8 seconds off the pace from what they were doing in qualifying yesterday. About 8 seconds. Which, to be honest, is kind of how it goes nowadays. You don't have these cars in race conditions being absolutely beaten within an inch of their life like they used to be. These, all of these components, the power units, the gearboxes, all of that shit's got to last several races now, so it's very rare that you get them pushed right to the very limit. Again, that's a cat down here, I'm not just having fun. Look at that, Lewis Hamilton up 11 places. That is phenomenal out of Lewis. Well done. Verstappen complaining about clipping on the main straight, which means that he's basically hitting the rev limit. Yeah. It's when he's harvesting. It's when he's harvesting at the straight, and it's just sort of, it's almost like a, oh, that's just Behrman. On board with Behrman, very foggy as well, his camera. The clipping is just sort of, he's running out of power essentially at the end of the straight, which is what we've been seeing the whole time. Which is why Leclerc's been gaining a tenth of a second on him at the end of the straight. So yeah, Verstappen just doesn't have the top end power that he needs to be able to put the move on, and you can see him, he's 1.5 seconds behind now, so I get the feeling he might have figured it's just not going to work. And look at that. George Russell now is actually getting quite close to the back of Max. And look at that, behind them, 2 seconds Albon, and then 0.5 second Lewis Hamilton. If Lewis Hamilton can clear Albon, we could have a hell of a fight. Verstappen, Russell, Hamilton, all against each other. That sounds very, very fun. Ollie Behrman now up to 13th, Antonelli up to 16th. Poor Isaac Hadjar's day is just getting worse. Alright, so they're telling Norris, you're definitely going to go to the end. Piastri might try to make it to the end. To make it to the end, he's going to have to manage his pace. And that will be his opportunity to pounce. So basically what they're saying is Piastri will have to pit. If he tries to not pit, the only way he's going to do that is to really let off the gas and really try to treat those tyres kindly. If he does that, you can catch up to him. Maybe put a pass on there. Otherwise, he's going to have to pit, in which case he would have to do it early, and then Piastri would have to go really aggressive to try to catch that time back up. Again, that also depends on, is everybody else going to pit around him? Now, the one thing is you definitely can, especially when the track dries out, and it's only going to get drier from here. That's what she said. If Piastri does make that pit stop, you can definitely get a pass done here. You really, really can. George Russell managed to stay ahead of Lewis Hamilton last year, and it was fantastic. I think had they been on different teams, maybe Lewis could have been a bit more aggressive. And getting that pass done and getting ahead of George, which he wasn't able to do last year, not until George was thrown out the results. But Piastri getting ahead of Norris absolutely can happen. If he's got the tyre advantage, he can definitely make it happen here. He really, really can. And this is the point where the fight could get very intense. It could get dirty. We've already seen them make contact this year. We saw it in Canada. We almost saw it again in Austria. Those McLaren boys are very comfortable getting very, very close with each other. So it could potentially spell disaster for them at sacrifice as well. Now just looking down the order, looks like Bortoletto's hassling Hulkenberg. Behrman's off the back at Tsunoda right now. What is this? Lance Stroll getting by Isaac Hadjar. Hadjar's going backwards. Yeah, that shit ain't working. Now Hadjar is well, he was always quite well known for getting very aggro on the radio, shall we say, very animated, like a bad-tempered Yuki Tsunoda. So I wonder if maybe he's just lost his cool a little bit today. Maybe sort of seeing where the wind's blowing and just isn't interested. Lando Norris fastest lap, still 8.5 seconds behind Piastri. So he's just kind of managing. I mean, if Norris manages his tyres as well, right? If Norris manages his tyres as well, he's definitely going to get to the end, no problem. But it means that the Piastri is probably going to have a easier time managing his tyres as well. It's also Norris managing his tyres here also closes off potentially one of Piastri's strategies, which is to pit and go aggressive. Essentially, I think what Norris is trying to do is trying to dare Piastri to go to the end. He's daring him to go to the end because he's gambling on those tyres. No matter what Piastri does to them, he's gambling on them falling off a cliff by the end of the race and being able to make a pass. Just trying to tempt him, trying to lure him into that. He's just saying, it's okay, I'm not going to hassle you now. I'm not going to hassle you now. I'm not even going to go near you. You can spend the next 15 laps being very, very kind to your tyres, but after that, I'm coming for you. And I know you're going to have nothing left in the tank. You will have to pit. And if you pit, I will still be quicker. Well, I'll be quick enough that you won't get by me anyway. It's one to watch. Bortoletto complaining about Nico Hülkenberg not getting by Liam Lawson. So Bortoletto's feeling it. One lap further on his tyres Nico has done over Bortoletto, so the offset isn't even that big. This is Carlos Sainz getting by Isaac Hadjar. It looks as well. That's very close. That's very, very close between both of them. Not sure Carlos would have appreciated that. Lando Norris again fastest lap, but at 1:46, it isn't the fastest thing in the world, you know what I mean? Hülkenberg being told to swap positions, turn 5, so that's the end of the Camel Straight. Yeah, looks like Nico's just going to let him go. Still strange to think that Nico Hülkenberg has actually finished on the podium. That's Kimi Antonelli on Colapinto. Yeah, well done, Kimi, well done. Yeah, I think Colapinto's probably on a hiding to nothing, to be honest, in that Alpine. It's not a quick car. It's not good. I mean, that's why it's last in the Constructors' Championship after 12 rounds. It's just not quick. It's fat. It's slow. Yeah, it's not great. Has Bono got... No, he doesn't. So, Ant Davidson brings up a good point. The extra downforce on those cars, probably to deal with the rain, which they ended up not having to deal with really at all, is going to help, or is going to eat into those tyres that they've got. So it's going to make it even more difficult than it would otherwise be to make it to the end. Now, basically, if you have extra downforce embedded into your car, you are just going to naturally take more out of the tyres, especially in high-speed corners like, whoop, that's a Racing Bulls into the pits, which would be Hadjar, yeah. I wonder if that car's fucked then. Or if they're just getting a pit stop out of the way now. Haven't heard anything on the radio about boxing the car to retire, but looks like they're going to put him on the hards and they're just going to... Yeah, there we go. And Hadjar goes again. So Hadjar, the first one to make his other stop. Now, what I think that's very, very That's just a frank admission right there that they're not going to make it to the end. And Hadjar is being as proactive as he can be, seeing that the race is not working out at all. The medium tyres aren't working on that car, so the best thing you can do is put on their hards and wait for everybody else's tyres to fall off a cliff, and then maybe you make up time there. Alright, so Piastri Radio saying... McLaren telling Piastri they want him to try to get to the end, and Piastri saying it's probably not going to happen. Uh-oh. Norris might have pulled a blinder going for the hards. It looked like that he'd given the race away before when they were all coming into the pits, but it looks like could well be a masterpiece. So here we go. I'm looking at the gap now. What is it? 8 seconds. It's almost the length of the camel straight from the kink to the braking area. This is just here we go, lap 22. So almost halfway through this race. At the end of this lap, it'll be halfway done. Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, Verstappen now. Verstappen, 2.2 seconds off Leclerc. He doesn't have what it takes to get by. I think he's done. Which, again, now it just comes into pit stop times. Verstappen's going to be waiting for a window to try to pit and then undercut Leclerc. Because that's really all he's got left to do. Decent move out of Stroll on Colapinto there as well. So yeah, Franco's going backwards as well. Like I was saying before, I don't know what Colapinto's really supposed to do with that car. It's last for a reason, and you can't really do much with it. I mean, maybe you can make magic work today if it was still raining, but it just looks like it's another weekend of nothing happening for Franco Colapinto now. The bad news for Franco is that Gasly is 11th. That Gasly could score points today. The bad news for Franco is that he has not looked close to scoring points at all since he came back. It just hasn't even looked like a threat for points whatsoever. So I'm not sure what exactly you get out of Paul Aaron that you're not already getting out of Colapinto, but I mean, Briatore runs that team now, so Lord knows what happens. Science the medium is degrading fast on his radio. Well, here we go. I mean, it looks like everyone's going to be locked in to another stop. Also keeping an eye on Hadjar and what he's doing on his hards. I mean, if everyone pitted now, he would only end up 19th, so... or maybe 18th. So he's not really making massive inroads here, but it looks like the mediums definitely are falling off now. Okay, and just realized the timing tower that I'm using over here, it's not giving me any tyre data anymore, apart from that they are on hards, but it's all saying that they've done, well, I'm pretty sure Piastri's done more than 3 laps on this medium set, so F1 live timing, well done, knocking it out of the park again. Good stuff. It's weird because the rest of it's working just fine. Well, I'm pretty sure there was a race not long ago where the timing tower was going all goofy as well. Spain, I think, from memory. Antoine Hubert's mother. Okay. Yeah, I mean, not much more to say. Must just be awful. I mean, it's awful to lose a kid, and it'd be awful to lose a kid to fucking motor racing. It's a dream of all of these guys. Absolutely it is. It's a dream to be racing in F1, racing in general, and being world champion and winning and all of that stuff. It's like an addiction. It's something in them. It's this innate desire in these people, and maybe it's a screw loose, maybe it's just an absence of screws, whatever it is. They have this addiction to speed. They need it. They crave it. Their bodies crave it. They wake up thinking about winning, thinking about driving as quickly as they can. But, I mean, let's face it, at the end of the day, it's pointless. Like, depending on how nihilistic you are, everything is pointless, but motor racing in general is a pointless venture to be risking your life for. You know, you're risking an ACL mostly playing soccer, for instance, or, you know, maybe you're risking your elbow playing baseball and things like that, but you're playing with death when it comes to Formula One, especially with motor racing in general. You're really playing with death, and God, I just can't imagine actually losing any family member, let alone your own kid, and pursuing what is ultimately pointless. Anyway, on that note, we see a drive deep in a left field. So Bortoletto has not been able to overtake Lawson yet, but he has put 3.5 seconds between himself and Hulkenberg, so he wasn't lying. He was quicker than Nico. It's not really quick enough to really do anything with it. So Gasly's really acting like a cork in the bottle here. Stroll might be joining this battle soon enough. There he is in the background there. Assuming Pierre Gasly's going to be holding all of these guys up, it could be Gasly through to Hadjar. Well, maybe not Hadjar, he's a bit too far behind, but it could be Gasly through to Colapinto and Sainz. I want to see what happened to Ocon though, because he's just going absolutely nowhere back there as well. There's just no speed in that Haas. I don't see him take any damage or anything. I wonder if maybe he's having a management issue or something, but he definitely had a bad strategy. You know, he had a really bad strategy. He got the arse end of that. Same as Tsunoda, who's back up to 12th, and same as Hadjar, who's now, well off. Actually, it's nice to see Tsunoda, even though he's running behind Gasly right now, that's just strategy. It's nice to see him not just shipping time to anybody ahead of him. I mean, there have been races out of Yuki Tsunoda lately where he just looks absolutely lost. Yuki, what the fuck happened to the car? I don't know. You know, that kind of shit. Basically, Yuki's problem all season, ever since he started in the Red Bull, is he cannot drive the car without just destroying the tyres, just melting them and tearing them apart. And he reckons everything he's done with Pirellis, his entire career, from 2021 onwards, in the AlphaTauri, in the Racing Bulls, all of that shit, it has always worked, and nothing works for him keeping the tyres in, you know, in a decent condition in the Red Bull. Just nothing has worked for him. So they've got a new floor on the car now. He's finally got Max Verstappen's same spec floor. I don't know if all the bits are the same specs as Max Verstappen's car, because Red Bull, let's face it, they have one priority in that team, and his name is Max. I mean, Yuki's car is fundamentally slower than Max's. I'd say Yuki himself is also fundamentally slower than Max, but that's a different conversation. But it's nice to see him being somewhat competitive today, at least keeping up with an Alpine. You know, it bodes well for maybe a race where it's not totally destroyed by a bad strategy and a bad pit call. What's next week? Hungary. That'll be interesting. God willing, Hungary will be interesting. Anyway, lap 27. Gap between Piastri now, 9.1 between Piastri and Norris. I think Piastri's just having a push now. I think I'd say that we're probably going to see a pit stop out of him sooner or later. And the McLaren is the better car on the grid at keeping its tyres in check, so it's only Hadjar who's bit for a second pit stop for hard so far. No, okay, so Norris has had a potentially a small off then. If he's had a lap deleted. So maybe it's not Piastri pushing, maybe he's not going to be ducking in for a pit stop soon. So you didn't see that. We were just watching the battle, Pierre Gasly and crew behind that. So if Norris has gone off, we've missed that, and I assume that we'll see a replay if he has. Oh, there's Antonelli, Fernando Alonso at the end of the straight and gets it done. Easy peasy. Oh, here we go. Sainz is pitted. So Sainz has pitted and he's come out ahead just of Isaac Hadjar. So you've got these guys who are mired down the back. And I don't mean mired. I mean they are stuck down the back. They're going to be the first ones who are rolling the dice with putting on the hards. Now, what they want is everybody else to try to make it to the end and those tyres not being able to make it. And then everyone having to duck in for maybe a new set of boots with 10 or less laps to go. Basically what they want is to catch everyone with their pants down and not enough time to be able to rectify it. What is this? On board with Lewis Hamilton. That's a hell of a camera angle through that corner. That was fantastic. Look at that. Hamilton was really carving it up through... I suppose it's a lot easier to carve it up past Saubers and Alpines and stuff like that, but when you start getting to the really fast part of the field, it's a lot harder to get by. Albon, by the way, is just driving superbly. Absolutely superbly, and he's been doing that all season. Really, really, really impressed with Alex Albon this year. Really, really impressed. Sainz, black and white flag, track limits. Oh dear. I wonder where that would be. Maybe at the top of Rodillan. Now he's still ahead of Hadjar. Just watching them on that map there, but they are quite a long ways away from the rest of this field. What they really need kind of is a safety car to bunch them up, but I assume everyone would just pit again if there was a safety car, so maybe it's not great for them. I mean, let's face it, I think Sainz's weekend was destroyed in Q2, and I think especially starting from pit lane, and I think Hadjar's weekend was destroyed when that pit stop went awry. Now, it's not even the stop itself that went awry, but the timing of it, rather. Lando, fastest lap again, 8.7. He's just daring him. He's daring him to keep going. And I think Piastri is trying to maybe maximize. The later he leaves the pit stop, the harder he can go on whatever medium tyres they put on afterwards. I don't think he would go for softs after this. I don't even think he's got softs to go for, but likely they will want to put a new set of mediums on Piastri. And if he only has 10 or so laps to go, he can just wring the shit out of those things, which would help him get back by Norris if he can make it work. That said, if there's contact between those two, potentially looking at Leclerc winning, which would be just insane. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if that does happen, I called it first. Colapinto in the pits. And new mediums, here we go. So they've reached the end. They reckon that they can make it back to the end. 15 laps to go on the medium tyres. Now, 15 laps on these medium tyres, they're not going to be great by the end of the stint, but they're probably not going to be falling off a cliff. These cars are getting lighter all the time. The track is now rubbering in after it was all washed away. Everything that they put through it over the weekend was washed away, but it's rubbering in again. It's always a thing. Stints at the end of the race are so much easier to manage because the cars are just so much lighter with all of that fuel burned off. The track is so rubbered in. Like, it never gets in better condition than at the end of the Grand Prix. It's so much easier, it's so much kinder to the tyres to be able to use and abuse them at the end. Hamilton now 7.7 seconds behind Albon, so it looks like he might be going for a move here. He's quite close out of La Source. Oh, here we go, cut to Lewis Hamilton. Now he's still quite far behind here. He'll have DRS, which will help him get close. Oh, here we go. So watch for Lewis. He could be making a move here soon. Now, what is this? Fernando Alonso into the pits. New set of mediums. You know, it's strange because Sainz pitted not that long ago. And they put him on the hards. I'm just wondering why they didn't put him on mediums instead. It looks like he was right on the cusp of missing between hard and medium, but not sure about that. If he only had like 16, 17 laps to go. Unless he just didn't have any more medium tyres to put on, but strange, that one. Now here we go, Lewis right on the back of Albon. It's what I was saying before, like Lewis does have a tendency to come alive in the races. We saw it in Imola, we've seen it in Spain as well. Like Silverstone, he was great in the race. It's kind of the rest of it that's so that's Lando going off in the middle of the Pouillon corner. Of course, it's just acres of tarmac out there now, so it's not that big of a loss. Not nearly as bad as it would have been back in the day, but then again, if this was 1996, Lando wouldn't have done that because he wouldn't have been born yet, so checkmate. Lewis now quite a bit closer, 0.6, 69, 0.68. Let's see what Albon's doing. So basically all Alex Albon has to do now is nail 2 or 3 corners for the rest of the entire Grand Prix, and then he's got it. The one thing he can't do is let Lewis undercut him. So they are going to be watching very, very closely the speed of everybody who is pitting here. As soon as they get a window, I think Albon's going to want to go for it, and it looks like there's a bit of a window. I think if Albon was to pit, he would come out ahead of Gasly, definitely. Now the interesting thing is, who of all of these runners is going to try to run their medium tyres to the end? Can they even do it? We will see. Here we go, live Drivers' Championship points, 16 points to Piastri over Norris. Now that's not, of course, that's not insurmountable at all, but it's very, very close here. It's still very close, and there's still 11 rounds to go after this. I mean, even George Russell is not mathematically out of it. I mean, let's face it, he is, but he's not mathematically out of it yet. In fact, honestly, I think even Colapinto isn't mathematically out of it yet. That would be a hell of a fucking thing if Colapinto was champion this year, though. Holy shit. Like, who's been screwing with this thing? Speaking of Colapinto, there's his teammate Pierre Gasly still ahead of Tsunoda. So Gasly's doing a little bit of an Albon here, just sort of driving a bit of a pig of a car, but still managing to keep these guys behind him. You know, part of me thinks, and I think this is tactically it's an interesting race. It is an interesting race, especially between Piastri and Norris. What exactly is going to happen here? 7.8 seconds now, so the gap's coming down. The gap's coming down. Piastri is going to have to pit soon, and it's 11 laps to go after this one, so he could well be ducking into the pit soon. He's not doing it this lap because he's just gone through, but it could be happening very soon. That's all very interesting, but it could have been a classic wet race at Spa, and it's just sort of turned into your run-in-the-mill dry race. Whatever, I won't complain. It's actually been interesting enough what's going on at the front here tactically. And Paul Verstappen's just been stuck in no man's land. He's just been in that 2 seconds plus change gap back from Leclerc ever since the pit stops. It's just not really doing anything. Just don't think there's really anything he can do. Oh, Hulkenberg is going for the pits. Now, I was wondering if maybe the Saubers would have tried just going to the end and just seeing what kind of points that they could pick up, but no, they're being proactive. They are pitting Hulkenberg. And there's only 11 laps to go in this race. Amazingly, we're actually 3/4 of the way through this race, although I suppose it has been 2.5 hours since it was supposed to start. But alright, so they're telling Piastri probably go to the end. Piastri says he's happy with that, so now it's hammer time for Lando Norris. Now he has to go for it. And the thing is, if Norris pushes now, he could well catch Piastri by the end of this, and Piastri would be left with basically no defense. Now this is the interesting thing. This is why I say tactically it's very interesting. There is a few moves that could be playing out here, but they are running out of time to do anything. Ten laps to go. Ooh, 10 laps to go. Let's see what happens here. Now, you remember last year, George Russell won the race by not pitting, staying out and staying ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and ended up getting disqualified for that. So I would assume that everyone's taken that sort of shit into account, that you wouldn't have the same thing happen to Oscar Piastri today. And then again, what does that they say about assumptions? Now, what is this? Because Norris is just... another lockup from Lando Norris. So he is pushing. He's pushing now because he really has to push. So 8 seconds. Oh, this is going to be very, very close between... Oh, that's very close between the Sauber and the Haas. And Hulkenberg gets it done. Now Kimi Antonelli right on the back of Ocon as well once Hulkenberg gets by. The thing is, Lando Norris is also running out of time. So Piastri's running out of time to make a pit stop if he has to. He's running out of tyres quickly as well, but Norris is running out of time to put the squeeze on. Don't push the brake as hard as you have been, you're naturally quicker. That's radio to Lando Norris, so they're trying to keep him. They're trying to keep him in the zone here. Yeah, this is where Norris needs the metronomic consistency of driving, which is actually the strength of Oscar Piastri's. And Piastri doesn't tend to get flustered all that much. Probably the biggest flustering I've seen out of him this year. I mean, they both went off at Albert Park, and Piastri just got the worse end of that deal, but really the only time I've seen Piastri properly flustered this year was probably Austria, where he almost went back into the back of Lando Norris. I don't think he was flustered behind the safety car in Silverstone when he got a penalty. I think the penalty flustered him, but it wasn't just really him doing it. That is Antonelli with a lovely move on Ocon, but he sent it too deep, and Ocon's got it back. It's a nice little move out of both of them. Fernando Alonso with a front row seat for that. So just a replay, what is this? Antonelli. So it's good, just sent it very deep at the end of the Camel Straight, sent it very, very deep over the curb, and then Ocon was just able to go around the outside of him. Nice sort of 1-2 there from both of them. Ah, goodness. 7.1 seconds now, Norris and Piastri. It's going to be quite close, this actually. 8 laps to go, 7 seconds in it. 6.9 now. I mean, the only thing that'll stop this is if Norris... I mean, he's got to catch up to Piastri, for one, and he can't keep making mistakes if he's going to do that. And he's made a couple so far, so he has to cut that shit out. And he needs to, when he catches Piastri, if he can catch Piastri, he then has to get by him. So it's going to be very interesting here. And more interesting, McLaren are running 1-2. I wonder if they're going to tell Norris, if he does get close enough and they get the flashbacks of Canada and Austria, if they would then tell him, pump the brakes, maybe go for it next time out instead. Hamilton's still behind Alex Albon. I don't see him getting by, to be honest. I just can't see where he's going to be able to do it. I get the feeling if he was going to do it by now, then he would have done it already. Driver of the day, Lewis Hamilton. Fuck off. Come on. Surely not. Surely not. Surely not. Look, Hamilton had some great passes. That's great. But he was passing fucking Haas's and Saubers and Astons and shit. You know what I mean? He's also spent most of the race stuck up behind a fucking Williams. Not to take anything away from him or from what Albon's doing, because Albon's doing fantastically, but driver of the day, if it finishes like this, would have to be Piastri. I'm not just saying that because I'm an Aussie. Genuinely, I think Piastri's absolutely earned it today. If he gets this done, he would have been able to drive those mediums way longer than they should be able to hold together, and he would be able to bring the win home after passing for the lead on the start. I mean, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Verstappen now 1.2 behind Leclerc, so he's half that gap. Let's keep an eye on Max, see what he's up to. Gasly's also done well. The problem is Gasly isn't going ahead anywhere. He is keeping cars behind him. He is now 10th. This is what I was saying before. We're kind of running out of time for everybody else to start making these pit stops. There's only 6 laps to go here. 6.2, 6.1 seconds now. Oh, it is... I mean, Lando's pushing it. It is going to come down to the wire here, I think. The big thing is, can Lando catch him without making a mistake? If he can catch him, can he get by? The thing is, Piastri's going to have to start pushing. All he can do now is just try to save those tyres to the end. If his mirrors start filling with orange, he's going to have to push. And he pushes those tyres too far, they will just fall apart. They've done... I mean, the timing tower's not telling me how many fucking laps those tyres have done. 3 apparently still. It's the longest lap of his life, but... Now, what is this? Charles Leclerc. Oh, so this is why Max has caught up a little bit on him. Yeah, just a lock up into the bus stop. So is this... Oh, here we go. Max 1 second now behind. So is this going to give Max a little bit of incentive to try to put the move on? I mean, there is a podium up for grabs. Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc is just tearing up the radio this year. He's like fucking Howard Stern. Just box office dynamite. Fantastic. 5.5 seconds now, Norris and Piastri. 5.5, so Lando is absolutely putting the moves on. Oh, here we go. And you can see Norris is now putting quite a bit of distance. Quite a bit of difference between himself and Leclerc. It was hovering around 10 seconds for the longest time, but Norris is pushing now. Oh, it's tense. 5 to go. 5 to go. I get the feeling Piastri will win, but it could very, very well be close. It really could be close. 4.9, 5.0. Lando is turning the screw, and I tell you, it's too late now. Piastri is done. The window to stop and to, you know, try the other strategy instead and maybe try to go aggressive on a new set of mediums, that window's shut. In fact, everybody, it's all over for them. Nico Hulkenberg. From my memory, Nico Hulkenberg was the last one out of the top 10 to pit for a new set of boots, and he is stuck up behind Stroll and not really going anywhere, so it's too late. It's too late for, I'd say, really anybody. Anybody who pits now is... there's just not enough time left to really make it count. 4.7 seconds, Norris. See, Norris is running out of time, and so is Piastri. Ooh. Very tense. Very tense. Alex Albon's also broken out of DRS zone of Lewis Hamilton, so well done, Alex. I think P6 is going to be his. You know, I honestly expected more cars to take that second stop. It looks like they're all confident that they can make it to the end, and they're all gambling on everybody else doing the same. I mean, Hulkenberg isn't, but look at him. He's just... Where is he now? So he managed to get by Stroll. Already put 2 seconds between himself and Stroll. He is going to be a lot quicker. Maybe he could get to Gasly. But then there's 14 seconds between Gasly and Bortoletto. So Hulkenberg is going to basically take a new set of tyres and then put in all of that effort to end up exactly where he was. So, you know, what is it really worth? Alright, Hadjar being told that there's cells of rain developing around the track. I tell you, it has been. Tell you what, it has been looking pretty dark there the past couple of laps. 2008, amazing race. Lewis Hamilton versus Felipe Massa at the... No, sorry, Lewis Hamilton versus Kimi Raikkonen. A couple of laps to go. I think lap 42, 43, the rain started falling and it was too late to switch to wets. Everyone just had to basically try to pray their way home, and it was just phenomenal. A phenomenal sequence lap 43 was. Passing, repassing, 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 going off, going on, going off, going on, until Kimi Raikkonen binned it at the end of the lap. It was phenomenal racing that day. Absolutely phenomenal. So I wonder if maybe we'll see a bit of the same. Either way, about 4 laps, including the one we're on, to go. 4.2 seconds, Lando Norris. Now, what will break Lando Norris's heart is if Piastri can push. If Piastri can push here and maybe get even half a second over Norris out of a lap, I think it's over. Norris really, really, really running out of time here. I thought it would be tight. That's what she said. I thought it'd be tight. I thought it would be really, really close. And it looks like it's going to be close, but can Norris get it done in time? Was Piastri keeping something just a little bit cooked up in that car? Oh. It's very tense. I think Piastri is going to get it done. I think Piastri's going to get it done. I mean, this comes back to if Norris hadn't have sent it too deep into turn one, if he hadn't have gone off at the P1, that's about 2 seconds right there that he lost in race time. And look at that, 2 seconds up the road would put him almost at DRS range with just a couple of laps to go. Actually, shout out to Pierre Gasly. He's done a great job today as well. Tsunoda, Bamman's still behind. Hulkenberg is the cork in that bottle, though. Hulkenberg is going to be carving through them. He's much quicker on much newer tyres. 3.6 seconds. Oh, I just don't think there's going to be enough time for Lando to catch him. Few raindrops in turn one in the last couple of laps. Now that could be jeopardy. Alright, so McLaren's saying it could happen. They're not expecting it, but it could happen. If it could happen, that could be massive jeopardy for whoever gets it wrong, because turn one, if you fuck turn one up, you are eating that mistake for the next nearly 30 seconds of the lap. .3 seconds. Oh, I just don't know if he's going to be able to go it. I get the feeling Piastri's got this done. Now, all that Norris can do now is hope that Piastri maybe makes a mistake. Maybe just lock a brake or something like that. Those tyres are going to be very, very hard to push for Oscar Piastri, but he is in the zone with them. He's been mostly unbothered the entire race, so he's already really feeling it. 3 seconds. 3.1 seconds with 2 laps to go. I think it's over. Oh, it's over. Look at that. He's totally fucked that up. No. Is that rain then? No. Yeah. I think Norris was pushing just a little bit too hard there. Oh. Looks like Norris is really pushing that car hard. Yeah, that thing's fucking done. Alright, well, in the end it was Piastri who's going to win. So, lap 43 or 44, I think... it almost feels like a race of what if. What if we had been able to go racing when it was, still raining. Ooh, Jackie X. Waving the flag. Nice to see a racing legend there instead of some pop tart that doesn't know a fucking car from her own arsehole. Norris, yeah, now 5 seconds, it's over. Norris knows it, he's given up. You're going to see Norris look like he's eaten a bee on the podium, I think. He's going to be fucking absolutely sour. Really down. And he's going to be down with himself too, because he knows it could have been the win. And that's, looks like people are already leaving. Fantastic. This is it. You know what? Piastri is looking more and more like a champion every single time that I see him race. It really is. And I mean, not just like world champion material, but he looks like he is the winner already of the championship. Looks like he's going to get it done. He's definitely going to get it done today. 1 lap to go. It feels almost like a race of what could have been. What could have been if we managed to get the race underway when it was still wetter than it was. What if what if Norris hadn't have made those mistakes, and maybe we'd have a box office finish. There's just a tiny, 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 tiny smattering of rain about, I think, but it's really nothing. And it's not, unless it starts chucking it down right this second, it's not going to affect anything. So, lap 44, let's say, what do we think? I want to say a 3-star race. I'm leaning more towards 2 because the fight for the lead was interesting, although it never really materialised. There wasn't a whole lot of passing in the positions that really matter. Hamilton was fun to watch for a few laps until that stopped. Yeah, and you know what? It is like an hour 20 minutes past the time when this race should have been done. So yeah, 2 stars. 2 out of 5. You know, it's a shame. It had the promise, it had the potential to be a classic Spa race, and it turned out to be just kind of your bog standard Spa race, which happens. That's Formula One sometimes, you know. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it happens. It was mildly interesting. Like a Big Mac. It was mildly good, but it wasn't anything to write home about. Here we go, Oscar Piastri, final corner. Through he goes, and he wins. Lando Norris second. And it looks to me like, yeah, Verstappen's way too far behind. It looks like it's going to end this way. So, Piastri, Norris, Leclerc. Another podium for Charles Leclerc. That Ferrari is starting to work. I mean, it's 16 seconds behind Norris for sure, but 20 seconds behind the race lead, but now the big thing to watch for is anybody going to get George Russelled after this? Is anyone going to get George Russelled and have taken too much out of their tyres, trying to keep them on the track instead of pitting again? So it's probably something to follow up with. Great afternoon, really good is the radio. Let's go is the radio back from Piastri. Nicely something done. I'm sure he said done there. Nicely dang done. You know, you can't just be saying done on the radio. Of course, I'd have to censor it. So Lando Norris. This is the interesting thing, the body language now. So Piastri's going to be absolutely chuffed with himself. Lando, I think, is just going to be down on himself. That's generally how he does these things. And he's not really even gone over to Piastri. Oh, there's around the other side. Piastri celebrating. Yeah, I don't think Norris really wants to be there. Hard to blame him. I mean, I know there's going to be some armchair couch psychologists like myself who are going to be reading into this, but Zach Brown's loving it. Just keep in mind, Oscar Piastri was almost an Alpine driver. That could have happened. That really could have happened. Instead, Alpine totally fumbled, completely dropped the ball, let him go, and now we have a champion in the making at McLaren. Crazy. And Lando looks like he just wishes that they kept Daniel Ricciardo after all. Yeah, Lando's really not feeling it. He still goes over and gets a bit of a smile out, but he's Lando's a strange one. He makes me think he's like I mean, he is a zoomer, but he seems like one of this like really brain broken zoomers. The kind of guys who just sort of like ride massive emotional waves, like one way and the other. Anyway, whatever. 2-star race. Could have been funner than it was. It's almost 2 a.m, so I'm going to wrap this up quick. So Piastri, Norris, McLaren, once again, untouchable, fantastic. This will be the rest of the season. That's what you're looking at. Driver of the day, Lewis Hamilton. I disagree, but I digest. Leclerc third, well done for him. Hamilton at least getting 7th in the race shows that there is pace in that Ferrari, at least a little bit. Not enough for him to get past the Williams today, but a little bit of pace. We'll see what they can do for the rest of the year. Verstappen, 4th. Not much else he really could have done today. Was probably hoping to capitalise on the start, which didn't happen because we had the safety car. Russell 5th, decent recovery out of George Russell to get 5th. Albon 6th. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic out of Albon. Points dearly needed by Williams, especially after Audi. I'm going to start calling them Audi, getting ahead of the curve. Desperately needed those points after Audi really put their flag in the ground last time out in Silverstone. So well done, Alex. Good stuff. Now what is this? Oh, this is just, yeah. It didn't even look like it was rain. In the end, it was just Lando sending it too deep into turn 1 for the second time. So Albon, fantastic. Williams needed those points, and he did absolutely phenomenally well. So great job, Alex. Hamilton really needs to sort out the qualifying. Needs to sort out the qualifying if he's going to be doing anything. Which I expect him to in Hungary. He's always strong there. Lawson 8, great points for Liam Lawson. Looks like he's finally really starting to gel with that car, starting to gel with Formula 1 again. Maybe they keep him around next year after all. Arvid Lindblad is coming though. He will be there soon. Whether that's Lawson, Tsunoda, Hadjar, whoever has to make way. I get the feeling out of all of them it'll probably be Liam Lawson. Maybe Tsunoda, who knows. Bortoletto 9th, fantastic for Bortoletto. Points again. Good work for Audi. Good work for Gabriel. Fantastic stuff. Pierre Gasly, maybe even my driver of the day. That's a pig of a car, and he's done great, and he's brought home 10th. Good stuff. Well, maybe not the driver of the day, but definitely a shout. Behrman, bog standard. I mean, not fantastic, not terrible. Just pretty good. How should we say? He's pretty good. 3 stars, why not? Hulkenberg, pit stop, just didn't quite work out for him. Could have been 10th. Ended up being 12th, so bad luck. Tsunoda 13th. Botched pit strategy, really threw him down there, and then just couldn't make any progress. Stroll 14th. Kind of just hard luck stories from here on down. So Stroll, Ocon, Antonelli, again a hard luck story. Also tried the second pit stop and it just didn't work because nobody else was taking the bait. Alonso, Sainz, Colapinto 19th, and Hadjar 1 lap down because nothing seemed to work for him. We had every car finish this race, which I never would have thought we would have at Spa, and a race that started as wet as it did, that every car would reach the end. So well done F1, well done Baku, everyone did great. It's bloody late, so I'm going to wrap this up now. Thank you very much for watching a mildly interesting race. Hopefully Hungary will be a little bit more entertaining. It's going to be very fun at the top. If it's just Piastri Norris for the rest of the season, hopefully it keeps close. Yeah, either it keeps close or we're going to see Lando Norris, I get the feeling, more likely to get demolished than the other way around. Or we could see a hell of a choke job from Piastri, who knows. It'll be fun. That's worth tuning into for the rest of the year. Can Verstappen win again? What's going to happen with Red Bull? What the fuck is happening at Mercedes? What could Ferrari do? Maybe they pop up with a win or two, who knows? Maybe they could get embroiled in this team fight. I mean, I doubt it, but you never know. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I will be back next week to watch Hungary right here. Hope you join me. Until then, have fun. Hope you're well. And I'll be seeing you soon. Ta-ta. Cheers.